Are you filming? Thank you, sis. Let me read this piece here. Or before I start, Debs, how are you, bro?
I'm okay. I'm all right.
I'd like us to speak about the channel and the work you're doing and Amagents, Konvo. I'm hoping to influence you again with Keebine Media. Yeah, but I guess a catch up. I guess this episode becomes just a catch up on how we've been doing as a channel and just how you're doing as well in JS as the out. But otherwise, Ukraine.
Yimnan. It's cheater, man. The usual. You know, some of us, we don't complain too much. You just have to do what you need to do. Because it's like, what other choice do you have?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sizwe Dube.
Yeah, Dube's on the mic there, man. Mr. Du, what's
Are you on the mic?
Yeah, it's on the mic.
Damn.
What is Caesar's school that you always bash?
No, I don't bash it. Sizwe comes from a very good school in Joburg. One of the top schools in Joburg. Actually in the country as well.
Damn.
Yeah, I've decided that I'm not going to bash schools anymore because I catch too much heat. Lapo, it's just banter. But there's people that
And
don't
understand
understand
get
banter.
sensitive. Eh? Remember even Khomoto, he comes from some pub school.
Pub!
Dude, he was going...
I think it's DF Malan. No, it's not Pub. I'm just saying because I always used to forget the name.
No, the school is not DF.
General Smarts.
General Smart.
Yes, I always fuck it up. Oh, DF Malan, I think, just changed its name. Hey, maybe I'm confusing it. Hey, shout out to Khumuto Murube, MK, Yenzi. And you say, Q came to visit. Shout out to Q, man. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Let me read this. I don't know if this is going to end up being a conversation. Maybe I'll just read it and then we'll carry on with the affairs of the day. The agenda for the day. I was meant to invite back... wait, Kamalalo Mchita. I don't know if I ever will be able to invite him back.
Ever? What do you mean ever?
Kodwa nje suvula phela Google baba ngoba manje abantu bayalinde ethini ukuthi siphendule. Hey. Oh, here we go. No problem. Sorted. So I was meant to invite back one of our guests, and there's a lot of guests that we have to invite back, but David Ansara of the Free Market Foundation in South Africa. And the reason I invited him here, besides...
The first time?
Yeah, the first time and the last time he was here, was to just hear his background, of course, as Umchita, and he'd given a speech around how to state-proof yourself, which is essentially how to insulate, which in easy language is how to protect yourself from a government and a corrupt government. How to move your taxes in a certain way, how to, he's got a really great speech on it, and I wanted us to go through that, and we did. But in that sit down, he was emphasizing very much how important capitalism is and free market capitalism, which you hear a lot from rich people, well-off, white people especially. Abo Rauhershoff would be the people that are like, we believe in free market capitalism and libertarianism. And I told him that he must come back because I want us to debate this whole concept of free market capitalism versus what's out there. Because those guys normally then demonize socialism and communism, which have their own definitions, and
depending on who you speak to.
Depending on who you speak to, those definitions get very complicated, but there's an easy way to understand them. I wrote a piece at some point, and that's why I'm referencing him. This is not responding to him.
Okay.
But it's just when I saw free markets, I remembered David Ansara.
So you wrote this piece?
I wrote this piece.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Shout out to David Ansara. Shout out to the Free Market Foundation. Yeah, that's all I'll say. Maybe I'll sit down with David and debate at some point.
Sure.
Anyone who believes in the free market system sees everyone as their potential customer and employee and not as their family. That's where the disconnect is in Africa. Kings and queens created a space where citizens are family, wanting to win as a collective, like a Springbok rugby team. Those who hate this model call that model communism. In a free market economy, there is no sense of family, except for certain religious cultural, and business groups that are isolated away from everyone else. Those who make money feel nothing for those who are exploited and poor. They call it capitalism. The reason many Africans admire China, Russia, and a few other countries is because they give a perception that they are one family, competing against other nations. Not as a marketplace where it's dog eat dog within the same family, where the father, in brackets the president, steals from his children, in brackets the citizens, where the elders, in brackets the politicians and big business owners, are happy to give off the family's assets to foreigners over their own children to earn money they'll never share with the nation. Where the children, the citizens, are expected to sweat, bleed, break their backs for the wealth of the elders, being the politicians and big business owners, but are never given protection, they're never given wisdom, they're never given assets, they're never given opportunities by the same elders.
Yeah.
How can I become a South African patriot when the politicians and big business owners put money over everything else? They refuse to build strong borders. They are happy to hire foreigners themselves, your neighbors, and they sell the few resources we have to people abroad without sharing the spoils with the rest of us. Where they fix streets, infrastructure, and ensure top-notch security for traveling guests, what we call tourists or diplomats. And then they turn a blind eye to the local citizens/children who get exploited, oppressed, killed, and raped daily. And I raised this in the context of we're going to have the G20. And I remember Cyril Ramaphosa prioritizing it. I remember Panyaza Lesufi, the Premier of Gauteng, prioritizing it, that they're now fixing. I think Dada Morero, the mayor of Johannesburg, they're fixing certain roads. They're going to make sure electricity just for G20.
You're right. I mean, I think it was for the first time I saw Cyril reprimand a premier or anyone in his cabinet. I remember he was on the news saying, I don't like the state of Joburg. And premier is there. I don't like the state of Joburg. It has to be ready for the G20. And then you're like, how?
But we live with this every day.
Yeah, that is now every single day. Why now? What's so important about the G20 summit that it has to be fixed? So the daily occurrences and the people you're speaking about, the children, they go through this every single day. Is it deliberate? Is it not? And as you live throughout South Africa and you realize what you're speaking about, the free market, it's that it's almost like the citizens believe in communism and the leaders believe in capitalism.
That's correct.
That is the craziest thing, is that we are not connecting the dots. Or maybe we choose not to. But it's what I've realized is that it's exactly that, in fact, how we live and our ideologies between the citizens and big business and big politicians is separate ideologies.
I haven't finished reading this, but
Sure.
I'll carry on. But to deviate a bit more, what I was trying to explain is this concept of your president or your king being your father,
Okay.
the queen being your mother. And you look at the examples of people that the citizens felt closer to like that, Utata, Umandela. They'd call him even that. They've never called Thabo Mbeki Utata. They've never called Cyril Ubaba. Whereas Jacob Zuma
was
would be
Ubaba.
Uzuma.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be Ubaba, sorry.
Yeah.
Uwini Madikizela Mandela would be Umama.
Yeah.
Because it feels like you treat us, and this may not be true, like your own children.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jacob Zuma, we can debate. Umamu Winnie, there was evidence where boys would go to her home and get fed.
Yeah.
And she'd send them somewhere and she'd protect them. She'd go out to protect her boys, who some of them today become about Julius, who would be like, give us a signal, mama, because at certain times I felt like you were protecting me as if I'm your own child.
I mean, there's videos of her breaking apartheid. I don't know what was happening. They're taking kids in a police van. And she's like, these are my children, take them out. She uses those words.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're right. It was very deliberate, yeah.
Okay. The other example I wanted to make,
Yeah.
they fixed streets infrastructure for traveling guests and turn a blind eye. Our government would send a top-notch legal delegation to the ICJ to go and speak about alleged genocide at the Gaza Strip between Israel and Palestine, or Israel and Hamas. they would do that. They would send soldiers to the DRC,
Yes.
the Democratic Republic of the Congo, for peacekeeping.
Yeah, they're still there.
Are they trying to bring them back? But we've got the Cape Flats here.
Yeah.
Here. We've got killings, Makasi here. We don't remember mass top legal representation getting involved. We don't remember soldiers being deployed.
It's what Ntantalax was speaking about now. The whole thing of during COVID, there were billions. We don't know where they went for COVID.
Sure.
But we've got a drug problem in the country.
Nothing. Turn a blind eye.
Why?
Okay. A free market economy and political system within a nation must be communicated honestly. I think that's always been my frustration with our politicians, even when the ANC sold out. I'm currently reading The ANC Billionaires by Peter Tutoy.
Yeah.
And he chronicles the decision where they moved from the mandate of the Freedom Charter to Anglo-American coming up with their view of what a transition would look like. Yeah. And then getting Abo Mandela to buy into it. And then that whole transitionary phase where Abo Tambo, Abo Thabo Mbeki, Abo Trevor Manuel, Abo Tito Mboweni were all being taught about the type of capitalism and how we must protect the economy and investors and the debt. And Mandela went to the World Economic Forum, and then the tune changed. And then the ANC group that was in London, Vela Pillay, Vishnu Padayachi, they were part of a group called MERG. I forget what it stands for. But they were pushing the left agenda of nationalizer. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to tax like this. But these guys that came back from exile and came back, Thabo, Trevor, Tito, and others, Mandela himself would come in. Sorry, I'll add Jay Naidu of COSATU, who was also left-leaning. They were starting to spend time with the Harry Oppenheimers, the Gavin Rayleigh, the Bobby Gottsells, business, big business, white business, apartheid, colonial business. And they were being co-opted in to be like, you can't do these radical things. We need to work together. And close to CODESA, around CODESA, that's when the conversation started changing. Where now it's no longer about this. And some of the guys coming into exile are being brought into certain companies, even though they don't work. And you realized, yeah, look, quite better.
Yeah.
And some of us, all we wanted was, Schelian, just tell us. Guys, we know we're about the Freedom Charter. Yeah. We have decided we are abandoning the Freedom Charter. Because we have conversations with these white guys and they've told us that the market is number one. They what? If we carry on with the Freedom Charter, we might get sanctioned, we might become like Zimbabwe, this might happen, the Berlin Wall has fallen, look at the Soviet Union, they're struggling. That's going to be us, guys. And as your leadership, we are begging you, we are asking you, because we are representing you, to please listen to us because you sent us to speak to these guys. This is what we have learned.
But how are you going to convince them this in a span of, when did they start speaking to Mandela? 86, 88, I think. How are you going to convince them, let's say from 86, 88 to 94, 6 years? How are you going to convince them while you've been fighting for a good 50 years?
So would you suggest that don't tell them anything?
No, you need to tell them, but I think, don't you think it would have been difficult to convince them
definitely.
otherwise? No?
Too many things were difficult. Chris Hani was assassinated.
Yeah.
How do you tell the nation to calm down?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Sure. At the time, I think about Tito Mboweni and them were being sent to about Goldman Sachs to learn about how economies function and those things. So you want it to be known. You almost want it to be known which we're sending Ramaphosa with BEE to go make money. Number one, to fund our movement so that we don't keep begging. And number two, because we need black representatives to create jobs so that when you're like, we need jobs, you're not asking a white man, Oppenheimer, an Englishman or an Afrikaans man, Antoine Rupert, please give me a job. You're asking a black man, Ramaphosa, Motsipe, study Span.
Sure.
Explain that to the people, whether they understand it or not, or it's difficult. Because not everyone is ignorant.
Yeah.
Not everyone. And the reason the political party would break up and people would fight is because you're not being honest. We don't need the whole truth because the whole truth is difficult and most people can't handle it. But just to let us know what we're suspending the Freedom Charter because we feel this is important and for how long. It's like the land thing. Tell us how many years it's going to take for you guys to give us the land so that we can measure. And if you're struggling, tell us why. No, I don't want. No, we don't have your budget. Tell us. The same way you were rallying us to go fight and what.
Come back to us and report.
Come back to us and tell us.
Yeah. And people always say, No, the decisions of the ANC, South Africa, people went around to tell them about what decisions were going to be made. I don't believe those things.
Even at the highest levels within Abo ANC, with Abo PAC, Abo COSATU, Abo SACP, and all these other groups, the guys were disagreeing fundamentally. That's why even today you've got people like Abo Ronnie Castrals, at some point about Jeremy Cronin, Bono J. Naidu, and some of these guys who are like, that's not what we agreed on. At the time, we ended up keeping quiet because we're like, say, we're about to be in power. Don't worry, we'll sort things out. But you realize, say, you didn't sort things out. And now we even hear as early as recently, in the last couple of years, Mamulindi Sisulu speaking about or asking questions. She wrote an open letter. Uguti, how did some people become overnight billionaires and multimillionaires? From where? If a lady that is that high and is an ANC, a blue blood, royal blood, Inganega, Albertina and Walter Sisulu is asking those questions, you're like, but if you guys are asking, who are we?
And you're right, that's royal blood. That is crazy. Yeah, no. The Tambos as well. Imagine.
Because if you don't do that, this is the problem with being dishonest. You're asking for resistance and you're asking for a fight. And now the fight is no longer from, let's say, rich white people. It's from your own people. Which Chris Hani, there's still an interview today where he explains Wuti or Mandela came back and they said, guys, this is what we're going to do. And he's like, that was difficult to listen to. But at least he can be like, look, they spoke to us. And then he had to go and tell the soldiers, the guerrilla forces, which say,
as a disciplined member of the MK, I have to follow the leader. And sometimes, what does it mean to follow a leader? Because in that same interview, he then speaks about the bourgeoisies. He speaks about the guys with the blue lights.
Yeah.
Everything he spoke about is what's happening right now. That his fear was that we'll be part of these businesses. We're going to be in positions of power. And then we're going to let go of the struggle. But then he says, ultimately, in fact, I'm a foot soldier. I need to listen to Mandela.
I have to be disciplined. A disciplined cadre. Whenever you have a movement that is revolutionary, you're always, without fail, going to have people that are going to sell out. One of the key things is figuring out where are our weakest links.
Yeah.
How do we ensure we don't sell out or there's some fail safe? For me, some of these things are easy. Not easy, but they doable in the sense that your destiny must be tied into what we're committing to.
Okay.
Because essentially that's what Anglo-American, Sanlam, Liberty, Standard Bank, and all these other big corporates did. They said, if we want these black guys to comply, give them a stake. Because now if it's like, look, you can destroy the economy, bro, but you have a game farm. Your kids go to a private school, you drive a nice car, so I don't know. But look, if you think it's
your
best,
choice. Yeah.
then you have to drive home in your Mercedes-Benz, your Maybach, and get into your mansion, and now you've got servants who are like, hey, Mr. Keebine, Mr. Keebine, and now you're like, hey, for the people. And you've traveled the whole world. You've gone to Cuba, you've gone to America, you've gone to Abo Margaret Thatcher, you've gone to Zimbabwe, you've gone to Abo Ghana, and you've seen the different layers and levels.
Yeah.
And you've seen your own people who say, if I let go of this thing, I've seen some of my cadres who are not here eating sushi and caviar, because Julius asked this question. I think it was Julius. I stand to be corrected. We don't ask questions like, how does Mandela afford a house in Houghton?
Yeah, it was Julius, yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. How?
And when you read that book, they speak about, there's a guy, Tiny Rowland,
okay,
who was a head honcho, a mining magnate in the UK from a company called Lonro, London Rhodesian Mining Company or something, that was doing mining across Africa. This guy was fond of Oliver and Oliver's wife, Tambo, Mamu Adelaide.
Adelaide, Bergman Tambo.
I think it's Adelaide Tambo.
Probably.
Yeah, I think. Because it's Mam Albertina Sisulu and Walter Adelaide. Thanks, sis. He was very fond of them and he wanted to protect them. And even at the times when Tambo was doing his rounds in exile, Tiny Rowland became one of the guys who would help him be like, hey, this is one of my gents. So it's okay. Apparently, he bought the Tambos a house in Sandhurst. When you hear about Thabo Mbeki and them coming back, it would be one of the fixers, a German guy, Jürgen Kogel, who would house them in his penthouse and go heal, bro. Or Jacob Zuma were getting flats, Morningside in Durban. And then Thabo Mbeki, I think they helped him buy a flat in Rivonia with his wife Uzanele. And then Umandela would, when it split, he also stayed somewhere for a while. And then when it split with Umamwin, Vilagazi Street, he went to and live with the billionaire Dolstein in Sandhurst.
Yeah.
In the Saxon. It's the Saxon Boutique
Dolstein
Hotel
is
now.
and then owner of Auto in General, ne? Passed away, ne? Dolstein.
Yeah.
His
Mining
insurance company.
tycoon. Yeah, he passed away.
Yeah.
And then after that, he then moved into a house in Houghton. Kanjani. Now it's like,
House Pani.
And Umalema says this in that radio interview, that clip that keeps doing the rounds every now and then. It's like, say, an unled revolution is anarchy.
And that's why I'm here.
And
neutralize the people.
If we don't have a led revolution and an organized revolution, the day these people get angry, they're going to come for me and you.
Exactly.
Because it's like, Goma Hyde Park, Goma Sandhurst, Goma Sandton, Goma Mhlanga, Goma Camps Bay. They're going to come for us, chief. So we need to make sure, and you're like, but Umalema sounds exactly like these O's, must.
There's nothing different.
So I'm just saying, for some of the comrades, your Chris Hannies, your Ronnie Casserels, your Joe Slovos, your Jeremy Cronin, your Rob Davies, I guess you have Blade Nzimandes. You need to tie your success in with the people. If the people are not winning, I can't win. That's why even now people are saying, even with BEE, the equity was meant to go to the employees in the community.
Yeah.
And when you can only get paid a salary as managing that trust, and you want the trust to do well for the people.
The community.
If our president, deputy, cabinet ministers, members of parliament were being paid the equivalent of how the economy is doing, and if they could only earn according to the average wage, they now have a vested interest to increase the average wage, to increase the economy. Otherwise, they suffer. And if it's not tied to that, they don't have a vested interest.
Yeah, you're just increasing salaries for the sake of.
So as Ukrisan, and this is probably where also arranged marriages come in. And if there's been a theory, I don't know how powerful the Mutsipe family is. And I'm going beyond Patrice to the father, Augustine, and the mom. To get close to the Hersoffs, the Menels, of course the Oppenheimers.
Kind of the Menels and the Hersoffs are the ones that gave Patrice the mine. Ne? One of them was fond of Patrice.
Yeah, the Menels specifically.
Because
the Hersoffs and the Menels owned Anglo-Fal, which was mining and industries.
Yeah.
When they split, the industries went to the Hersoffs, the mining went to the Menels. I don't know where the engineering Avenge went to, by the way. And then it would be the Menels more than anything that would make the decision to give to Patrice. But if you look at the Mutsipe family and how they move, you've got daughters, which are currency, and your daughters, because you've got Patrice, your golden boy, hopefully. But in case this doesn't work, you want daughters married to Jeff Khatebe, you want daughters married to Cyril Ramaphosa. I mean,
kind of those three.
Yes, but and we can even go to even about Jacob Zuma that people love. One of his daughters is married to Swati royalty.
Exactly, yeah.
So Eswatini can't come and fuck up here because like my daughter's there. Nangapa the Zulu king Uzwelithini goes and gets a wife from Eswatini as well. Umantfombi. So I don't know. Anyways, I'll just cool this phone and done. But we're just Popeye podcasters that know nothing. A free market economy and political system within a nation must be communicated honestly with the people.
Yeah.
So that everyone is fully aware that we are not a family, but a bunch of scavengers fighting over what's available. This is now why you wouldn't be honest. Because if I'm honest with you now, I'm asking us to fight.
Yeah, and the honesty now as well is linked to now you exposing that you're going to be a billionaire tomorrow.
Yeah. No, but guys, I'm friends with the Oppenheimer, so I deserve. And you're like, oh, okay, so not you must be friends with the Oppenheimer. Okay, I shan't. At least this year isn't one. If Sfunitenda made bribe, if we want equity, we must go to the private schools and we must laugh with white people.
Yeah.
So, okay.
It's simple.
Just tell us. Mind you, we have to figure it out. And when we figure it out, we get angry with you. Because we're like, you screwed us when. Because when you were sitting in those meetings, your bargaining chip was us. No, I can influence them. I can control them. I can tell them to drink leshandis. Yeah. So you can give me a stake in whatever alcohol. It's fine. But balalela mina ntwana yami mini influencer.
Money.
We are not a family. Our politicians are not our elders. They are paid administrators that are meant to offer us a service. Big business does not owe us jobs. They don't owe us charity. They only owe us goods and services that they sell. This now speaks to the entitlement that we feel like, how? Our people, they died, they were, our life is dimeni, our Marikan. We're not family. Even if you look at Mangosuthu Buthelezi, the late Chief Mangosuthu Buthelezi, in the fights within Kata Freedom Party and the ANC and the killings, Emma Hostel, Go Katlehong, Boy Patong massacres and those things, it was a definite, you are not my people, you. And then you're like, oh, it's these Mazulus or what? Sure. But he's not pretending. Mangosuthu is not there. Sila ngamakosa namape. No. La.
One mandate and that's it.
We want our land in Konyama Trust. I'm here on behalf of Uzwelithini. We're willing to work with anyone. If the ANC doesn't want sharp, if the PAC doesn't want sharp, if the Apartheid National Party, sure.
Yeah, we'll
please come train our guys.
Of which they did.
Which they did.
Yeah.
And that became the whole theory of the third force and what. Yeah. Our politicians today, for people to understand, are not our parents. They feel nothing.
Yeah.
They are administrators that sit there. We pay them with our tax, and what we are entitled to is a service. Come pick up the litter, come fix the what, which is also why when they come into your communities, you're not meant to treat them like celebrities. We're meant to treat them like an administrator. When your teacher is teaching your child, they're not doing you a favor. They are paid. They have a mandate to educate the child. It's not, oh, Tisha, oh, ma'am, oh, say. Meanwhile, your child is getting 30% with maths. You must go there and be like, hey, sorry, what's going on here? No, the thing is, yeah, but tell me where I'm falling short. I'm paying school fees and I'm paying tax. That's paying your salary to teach. Tell me where we're going wrong so we can help fix this thing together. Because if you're telling me I'm not paying tax or I'm not paying school fees, sure. But it can't be that we're paying this thing and our kids are failing and you guys are coming to school drunk and you're sleeping with the kids.
So, Tina, we treat the presidents and the ministers as celebrities when they come into...
We treat them like kings and queens because we think they are our parents. We think... Awu Babu Ramaphosa, awu Mamu Sisulu, awu Sanbona Mamzulu, awu Babu Mantashe.
Kantine, I pay you.
The people that know that the best are the people that come from this system, which are white people in this country. That's why they speak to and about our politicians in a way that we deem disrespectful. Look at Gwede Mantashe, and you're like, he's on face. Uvela nje Cyril Lomlungu. Uvela to alindiwe. Ngathi ubona i-garden boy noma i-land. And to them it's, of course it's condescending, they black, but the bottom line is we pay our taxes, we wake up and we run businesses, and you guys are not doing your job. And then same with big business. We're expecting Yuan Rupert to do this, and he said this with Given Mkari. I'm not Father Christmas. We expect them to do charity, we want jobs. Their thing is to be like, we are here in the business of profit. If you meet the qualification and the criteria, then I can hire you.
Yeah, that's it.
If you have money, I'll sell to you.
Outside of that, no.
Outside of that, I owe you nothing. I'm in the business of making money, not in the business of charity. I'm not an NPO. Go to the NPO and be like, I use drugs, help me, my family is hungry. Sure. Otherwise, go to your politicians that you voted for.
Yeah.
That have a budget of 2.6 trillion rand.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Those guys have got a budget. There's potholes, there's what. Do you know who's meant to fix that? Those guys.
Yeah, the ANC.
There's a Department of Road Affairs. They've got a budget to fix that. That's the guy. And before you get to the minister, you must get to your ward councillor, you must get to your MMC, your mayor, your MEC, your premier, your members of parliament, then the minister, then the president.
Yeah.
They get a salary, these guys.
Yeah.
Go find out who it is. Show the picture, the poster of the black, white, colored Indian man, lady. And be like, why is there a pothole here? No, the thing is, you know the ANC. Hey, don't tell me about the ANC. That's
what council are you in fact? Fix a riding,
And you know when I tell people this thing, they complain about DA, ANC, and I'm like, especially the public school argument. You've got, I live in Johannesburg. I wanted to make examples. Let me not make examples. There are top public schools in this country. Then there are Kasi village schools. They're all government. all the teachers, I guess, in the Kasi schools, and maybe half of the teachers in the top public schools are paid for by government. And you're like, but this is government. And I'm like, this is a government school and they're getting 100% and their kids are passing and becoming something. So that can't be your argument.
Yeah.
So nalana, but government. I'm like, this neighborhood here is not a private neighborhood. This is a normal neighborhood like everyone else. We can go from suburbia like Rosebank to a Kasi, like a Sprayed View, to an Alex. Those are all meant to be regulated by government. It's not a private estate like Stain City or Waterfall. It's public. And you're like, what is the difference here? And not sometimes, all the time, it's a leadership thing.
Yeah.
And who holds those people accountable? Why is the Spa, ne Boxer, ne Usave, ne ShopRite, ne Checkers, ne Woolworths, ne Pick and Pay, why are they different?
And yeah, depending on the area you go to. Service is only shit in the hood. Yarr.
So big business doesn't owe us jobs or charity. Yeah. Only the goods and services they sell, because they're in the business of making money. Until we change the mindset of Africans and other similar folk globally from the old school mindset of kings, queens, and subjects to the one of paid public servants, which is what they are, including President Cyril Ramaphosa. He's not a king. He might have become an overnight billionaire, but he didn't build that money from building from the ground like Omaponya to be like, we used to sell bread, we used to have amapusha, we used to... You became rich because white people found a functional way to use you. So he wasn't built by Odaki and entrepreneurship. Number one, that's on the business money side. And then here from the political side, he's voted in. Okay, some people argue that he bought his presidency at a conference, but he's voted in. He's not doing us a favor with, guys, look, I'm a dollar billionaire, so I'm going to set up Doge. I'm going to see what I can do for you guys, but fuck, I'm busy. We voted for you, chief. We pay tax for you, chief.
And you agreed to be the president.
And you agreed to serve.
Yeah.
So we have to hold you accountable. You can't keep quiet and be shocked. And when we ask you, what's going on? Hey, Uban Manjelo, Ozobuzi president. Ozobuza ini? Angba Ozobuzi president. He's a public servant like everyone else. He just happens to have been voted. It doesn't make him a king. He didn't conquer some nation through his super army.
Yeah, for sure.
So we need to change that mindset. To paid public servants, the politicians and big business owners will continue using old sentiments to exploit you, while using the modern political, legal, and economic systems to keep you from benefiting. This disconnect is why so many people are confused on this continent of Africa. Your country is not a single nation. It is not a family. It is a marketplace, and you are a mere player in that marketplace. Ibrahim Traore, Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping, they run nations. They run families, not marketplaces. The Jewish community, which I idolize very much, they run a nation. They run a family, not a marketplace. These examples here are not places where it's dog eats dog.
Yeah.
Where the Chinese inside are trying to outcompete each other. And even if this one suffers, no. The Chinese Communist Party makes sure that everyone is okay at the very least. And then they compete with the rest of the world. Russia, the same. Abu Traore trying to do the same. The Jewish community is not about destroying other Jewish entrepreneurs. They're like, even if you're not doing well, we will lift you up.
Yeah.
At the lowest common denominator, you'll have a home, you'll have a decent job, and your kids will be fine.
Is it Fargin?
Fargin.
Yeah.
If your political leader does not treat you like a loving father, does not give you the tools to win, does not give you opportunities to thrive, instead they bully you, but they treat the neighbors with soft gloves. They treat their own biological children differently from you by giving them unearned opportunities that they keep from you. That should tell you everything you need to know. This becomes the story of Ubabaga Tutuzani, which I've always said is a story of pain. Where Julius Malema would say would kill for Zuma. Will kill for Zuma when he was president of the ANC Youth League. And that's where also the popularity of that statement of they send our children to march and to wars, But when it's time to get business opportunities, they send their own children.
Yeah.
So when the Guptas come through, when the business opportunities come through, all of a sudden it's all Kulubuse Zuma, it's all Tutuzane Zuma. And then other people get chewed and spat out. And that's where that painful story, at least in my theory, becomes Ubabaga Tutuzane.
Yeah.
And you're like, but why is that important? It's like, Agasu babu wako, stop calling him Ubaba.
Yeah. When he goes to court, he gets the message to go protest
Then it's
outside.
Ubaba.
Yeah.
But when the business opportunity comes,
No.
you're no longer his children.
No.
Those go to other people.
Exactly. The special
somewhere
one.
else.
Yeah.
So it was like, this is not Ubabaga Julius. This is not Ubabaga Floyd, which arguably we're seeing now with Floyd Shibambo being reshuffled that Umkhonto sees. This is Ubabaga Tutuzane.
Ultimately.
I think is what they were trying to articulate. If your political, business, traditional, religious leaders do not treat you the same as their own children, you don't eat from the same plate, you're not eating the same food, you're not going to the same school, you're not getting the same level of health care.
Forget.
That person is not your father.
No.
That person is not your elder. That person is doing whatever it is that they're doing. You then have to ascertain either they hate me, they oppress me, or no, I'm paying him. The reason why Raymond Ackerman, may he rest in peace, his kids are at expensive schools is because I buy from his shop.
Yeah.
But he doesn't owe me a job. He doesn't owe me charity. I give him my money willingly. If I don't want his kids to go to top schools and for them to be rich,
The money on you.
I must then go buy from Keebine.
Somewhere else, yeah. No, for
Or I
sure.
must buy from Dube. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. We need to wake people up. Or keep them asleep and exploit them. Either way, we must pick a struggle.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Either way, we must pick a struggle. Man, these things, they get tiring, man. Like, all these chats and all these things, because all we're trying to do is try and awaken human beings. Hey, man, human beings just refuse, man.
Utiwa, you can't wake up someone who's pretending to be asleep.
Pretending to be asleep.
So what is it?
Oh.
Is it them deliberately choosing ignorance? Is that what you mean? They're pretending to be asleep, but they're not.
When you tell people
That's what I'm saying. The word pretending is a
when
problem.
you tell people the cost of achieving certain things, you realize very quickly that they already know. When you ask people why the taxi industry is still in black hands, when you ask people how the Pakistanis have spaza shops, they have all the answers.
Sure.
So they know.
They know.
It's not that they don't know. It's fair to these people hlanganisa imali and basebenzisa ibhamu.
Yeah.
Awuntwana wonke umuntu uyazi. Or Ramaphosa fethi badayisa nge. No, sure nto, and you're like, "Oh, you know." Oh. But you're trying to wake them up and then
Hey, full sec. But is it because of the difficulty after you then wake up? I think maybe that's the thing. Because like what you're saying, someone says, I want to be a Beyonce or an Elon Musk. I want to have those riches, whoever you look up to. Then you start to really unpack. And I guess that's where the pretending of the sleeping comes in. Because they're like, man, if this person then now challenges me and says, let's go, become that person. They're like, nope. It's too much. Like with you.
it's too much, bro.
How pains you are judging him. Like, okay, judge him. Stop drinking. I see. Don't drink. Don't smoke. Be highly disciplined. Is that hey bro, no, I was only speaking about this part of Penuel. No, I didn't mean, because it's tough when it's time to actually face the reality. Bro, it's a different ball game. So I guess I get you with the pretending.
Can I read one more piece?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Hey, got an amia bana, man.
Antwana, tshwantse be teaser, Antwana.
Yini teaser manje?
Working mistress, working teacher. Nepal, you called everyone a mistress. Yeah, Antwana.
Kwakumele ngibe uthisha?
You should be.
I am a teacher.
Oh,
It's
man.
the family business. My mom was in education forever. My father was a soccer coach forever. So I think fundisa and to coach is the family business. I guess I just do it on social media now.
Pensin Nelly teaser, ne?
Pinson was a teacher as well.
Okay.
Yeah. My sister coached sports at some point. and was a tutor at some point. I coached sports at some point. I
Hectic,
think it's just
okay.
a family business.
Okay.
Capitalism and Ubuntu cannot coexist. You have to choose one.
Let's go.
Your culture and your cultural values might be the number one reason you are poor or struggling to be rich. Then I break down the differences and some examples
Yeah.
between Ubuntu and capitalism. Your understanding of Ubuntu, I define it here at the end. Should I start with this? Yeah, let me start with this. Right at the end, I say Ubuntu is humanity.
Yeah.
I am because we are. This now ties in with that thing of family. Capitalism is about profit maximization. It does not factor the human component. I've said many times that you cannot exercise humanity, in brackets Ubuntu, with an animal. By animal, I mean someone who doesn't care about humanity or human, who cares about something mechanical. Because the animal will exploit your humanity for its ends. And once you're in the pursuit of money, Baba, you cannot be thinking about humanity. We see it with the sweatshops in China. We see it with the caste system in India. We see it with the transatlantic slave trade. We see it with black South Africans who exploit foreigners from other countries, Malawi, Lesotho, who underpay them to build, to do their hair, to watch their kids. Lapho akucatshwanga ntwana humanity. When you're buying from a Pakistani, and I'm like, why are you not taking from Keebine? Keebine uyabiza. I'm like, kodwa ntwana wakini? Now the human aspect is gone.
It's gone. The Ubuntu.
You can only exercise humanity with another human, with another person who exercises humanity. And then I have closing. Before I get to the closing, let me go to these examples. In Ubuntu, your age determines your authority. In capitalism, money determines authority.
Yeah.
Why the eldest child in the family is either the oldest or the one with the most money.
Yeah, no.
Equalizer.
Equalizer. I want to know what about family gathering. Hey, umalume is the oldest. Ubaba. Hey. Speaking to an Hispana FNB into or Investec. He buys everything. The level of respect that kid gets over a time. Yeah. Who won there? Is it Ubuntu or is it capitalism?
That's capitalism.
Exactly.
At work, in the job environment, Ubuntu prescribes that your elders at work are treated as parents. At work, capitalism prescribes that your elders are treated as equal colleagues.
Exactly. You call them by their first name,
You'd hear about Julius again, the EFF, being accused of being rude in parliament. Because the thing is, we have been sent here by constituencies to come and fight on behalf of the people. It can't be that when we're criticizing you, you're like, no, but nina ni ingane. Because we got votes just like you, Chief. We're sitting in the same parliament as you. We have seats just like you. We're earning the same salary. And you're telling me, no, because you're young, sit down. Why must I sit down? You gave that guy a chance. No, Pela. Umamba. There's no mama but fuck all here.
Yeah.
Is that a parliamentary telela? Telela kaing. You'll withdraw the telela. Ubuntu says that pay what is fair. What's fair? That's being human. You're like, Ntwana, let me not exploit this guy. Ntwana, no mayin njaya. Capitalism says pay the least acceptable fee.
Exactly. Yeah.
Ubuntu is about maximizing communal success. So we must win as a collective. That's where now we can argue that Jewish people actually believe in Ubuntu, but only for
them.
Their community.
Yeah.
Capitalism is about maximizing individual success, which sadly has infiltrated the black community where you arrive with the Mercedes-Benz to your family function where everyone else will feel takes.
Sure.
And you feel like you've made it. Ubuntu advises you give away access and things that you don't need. Ngwanaka, come fetch, you've got extra cabbage and what. And hand-me-downs, like, no, this was my cousin's jacket and what. Capitalism advises that you sell access and the things you don't need. You don't give it away for free. These are valuable things. You sell them.
Even if it's at a lower margin, but you are selling it. Yeah.
Ubuntu focuses on bartering goods and services. Capitalism focuses on selling your goods and services at the highest profit margin possible. Ubuntu doesn't charge interest on loans. This is the Muslim community now. They don't believe in interest on loans. But the caveat, which they never say, and they can dispute this if I'm wrong, is that you don't charge interest amongst fellow Muslims.
Tebogo.
Can't speak about everyone else because you don't follow Islam.
I don't know. Values and principles.
I remember asking a Muslim friend, because they were like, no, they think interest is haram. Why would you do that to your fellow brother or sister to be like, here's 100 Rand, bring back 150? They're like, that feels wrong. It feels like you're exploiting your brother and your sister. And I asked that Muslim gent, what about profit? It's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you bought this thing for 100 Rand? You're selling it to the next person for 150. That's 50 Rand.
Yeah.
Why don't you see profit as a form of interest? No, it's not the same. It's exactly the same.
Exactly the same. Then.
You're comfortable with profiting off someone else, but you claim interest is... Both those 50 Rands have to come from somewhere for the other person. Ubuntu doesn't charge interest on loans. Capitalism charges maximum interest on loans. Ubuntu is about sharing living space freely. No, I've got an extra room.
Sure.
Capitalism is about renting out living space.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who it is. They pay. Ubuntu promotes sharing valuable information. This is where I can argue that I still suffer from Ubuntu, even if I start changing in other spheres. I share a lot of valuable information, even when I don't need to.
Yeah.
I go to spaces, I meet with people, and then to what you're saying about being a teacher, I go into platforms for it and I teach what I know. Where other people would have to... Uvusi was here, Tebogo, and he'd speak about being a knowledge merchant. And he says that you can travel the whole world and knowledge merchants are paid the premium because the rest of the world understands the value of information.
Yeah.
You'd get a person like Gigi Alcock, who's known as the White Zulu Boy, who'd have Kasi economics. He's now a paid consultant who speaks to retail businesses and the like on the Kasi economy, the informal economy, what. Knowledge merchants, I sell information. Tina, where we come from, Donna, once you found lush fields, once you found a clean stream of water, Donna, you come and you tell your community.
Yeah, same time.
Sure.
Whereas capitalism now, you must pay for the information.
Ubuntu promotes sharing valuable information. Capitalism promotes keeping valuable information to yourself or selling it at a premium.
Yeah.
My consulting fees are 5,000 Rand an hour. You know, if you want to sit, but I just want to know how to podcast. I fully understand. You look like you know what you're doing, sure. Can't you just, that's fine. I charge 5,000 Rand an hour. Come on.
It's me.
And I'm like, also, I must have Ubuntu for you. Tomorrow or even yesterday, when I was like, you're like, hey, look, unfortunately, I studied tax and what, bro. You know, we charge a fee there at my firm. When I was asking you for tax advice, what did you tell me? You said I must come to your firm and I must pay. Now that you're on a podcast, I must just...
And that has also hit black families general, in fact, because you've got professionals in families.
Yes.
And now when you need that type of advice, even if it's at a family gathering, you can tell that the information our guy all the way. Up until you say, okay, can I see you on Monday? Can I come see you at your firm?
Sure.
Then that's when they'll open up. But invoices is also within families, So it's almost like, when do you practice then Ubuntu bako? Like, when do you do it? Like, I'll tell you the example with my family. When it's time to take a picture, it's Tebza. Because they know that he has the eye, he knows how to do it. But if I go to them, I'm like, okay, when are you good at this thing? Can you? No. The people I work with, he's the expert at that. So you need to come in and then. But I'm like, because it's not a thing.
Sure.
But you calling me because out of all of you here, you can't take that picture the way it's out. You're gonna take that picture, you're gonna frame it. It's gonna last for generations in the whole family. But with me, it's like, when it's just a picture. Then they come to you, they're like, come take, my company, they're looking for portraits. Fast in frame.
Sure.
So my knowledge When am I eating something?
Sure.
Fuck all. So yeah, that is infiltrated families, man. It's sad.
I grew up in Newcastle, where big Indian community.
Yeah.
And one of the things I learned, Indians share that information a lot with their families.
Mahala.
So, especially, I'll use the example of financial services. When you go to Indian families, they know how to claim. They know the ins and outs. They know the cheats, the loops, the what.
Yeah.
They'd be the ones that would tell you, say, my car was in an accident. And they're like, say, check these things here. Do you want it to be a write-off? Sure. Say, make sure these parts is shayekile. Masingashayekanga sishaying isando. Because when the guy who's coming to claim is coming to check, bazochecka kanje. Mese bakutshela ukuthi after it's been written off, you have a first right of refusal. Tell the insurance company that I'd like first right of refusal. I want you guys to quote me. Pay me out, but then let me buy the thing. Because I already know where I'm going to go fix it for free. Because I've got an Indian mate who can dollar the things.
So
they do that.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah.
Whether it's because of trust or whatever the case may be. A concept I was thinking of as you were speaking is maybe we also need to normalize in the age of Ubuntu / capitalism, the concept of identifying valuable family members that we deem valuable. Maybe we don't deem you valuable because we tombe.
Yeah.
But the valuable family members to be like, as a family, we've decided to ask, how much do you charge? We'd like to fundraise and we'd like you to host a workshop for the family and we'll pay you. If you're willing to do it for free, if it's yabong. If you're willing to barter, which as a family will babysit the kids, or we'll give you a cow from the family farm, kral, sure. But we're willing to fundraise as a stokvel, as a family, to be like, Penuel wakamlochwa is somewhere in Joburg podcasting, meeting celebrities and politicians. As a family, you get booked at all these places to come and speak. We've never booked you. We just expect you're going to come with your own money to come to us and just freely share. As a family, people trust you and listen to you. Maybe we were not seeing you. We'll pay for your flight, we'll pay for your car hire, we'll pay for your accommodation. As a family. Because we're looking at all the people you're sitting with, and some of them are like, hey, Penzo, I just want to say thank you, Ntwana, because of you, of what. But we've got unemployed kids here, and you look like Fethu knowledge.
Yeah.
Tebza. Fethu besacela Fethu as a family ukhokhela inyuku Fethu just 2-day workshop Ntwana so fika sonke sitshele nezingane abanye will connect virtually. Usigelezise nje Ntwana yami. That now becomes valuable. And I can tell you, if your family was to do that as a normal person, that stuff would do something inside your soul where you're like, either you'll be like, no, please don't pay me. Or you'll give them a discount. Or even if you take the full price, you're going to go over and above and beyond what you were meant to tell them.
Because now they see you. It's that whole thing sometimes of you being affirmed by the outside world. And now when your family books you, it's like, hey, in fact, Zwagala, give us classes on cinematography, business, whatever.
Sure.
Or some of your failed businesses, you know.
Sometimes it's something as stupid as you look rich. Can we just pay you for to explain it to the family where you get your money from? No, I'm a lawyer. I studied LLB, University of Free State. I then went to work for Norton Rose. And then these are the big 4 law firms. This is how you study. This is how long. These are your marks in matric. Kone NSFAS, kone mabasari, what. And you're like, Fethu siyabonga. Na itustina, na lipodlela, na imbus, whatever.
That is powerful. And
then you make that a thing, and then the other kids will learn. If there's a family member with something, book them.
Yeah.
But book and pay them.
Yeah.
And be like, Uncle Debs, we saw you Ntwana coming in with a convertible Ntwana. Yo, Uncle Debs, what do you do for money? I know, Anyapanda Ntwana Zam. And then you go to your parents like, Uncle Debs doesn't want to tell us what he wants to do for money. Ngicela nimbuke. Ngicela nimbuke azochazela. Sihlale phansi, thatha ama notes. Okay, and then kanjani? Why you and not others? And then
you know what you're saying is so crazy because even when you think about it, and I think it's for all of us in this room, the people that we empower the most through knowledge is outside us.
Yes.
Yeah, our families are in shits.
And outsiders pay.
They pay in fact. And sometimes even if they do not pay, their level of respect when they see you is extremely high, bro. Hey, Penzo. Hey, man, you know, I saw this thing. Can I just sit with you, man, 2 hours, bro? Nah, it's something. What money not gonna next? Cause now you're shocked like, oh, you wanna know? But our families, and I don't know what made us not do that, you know? Because back in the day when there would be like cultural events, or uncle would show you guys how to slaughter a goat or a cow. They would show you. Donna, this is how you actually do it.
Sure.
And I wonder now,
the old ladies would teach the girls how to kandu chwala.
Very true.
Sure.
Yeah, it will be there. They'll pass it down. You know, even when you get married as he made, they tell you, here, this is how we cook. So I have to teach how to make ding for us. Ding, it was so chotro. It was so, you know. And I wonder why are we able to do that with cultural things and not things in the urban areas where we work?
Clearly, we don't value them.
We don't value which ones?
The cultural things at the same level as these things that come with money. Maybe one of the solutions, I'll tell you this, which is where I realized that Ubuntu is not a two-way street. And that's why I was like, fuck Ubuntu. And how colonizers came to exploit our Ubuntu. It's because we believe Ubuntu is something that you must just give freely. Where I realized that, no, I think Ubuntu was meant to be a two-way street. I respect an elder because they also respect me as a minor. So I love you because you love me. It can't be that Ukoko just moves me, sends me around, but I must exercise this love and respect. So I realized no, man, Ubuntu is a two-way street, and Ubuntu was meant to be fair exchange. So as much as I go and I wash the car for a timer next door, it's not my father, but because I have Ubuntu as into rent, I wash the car. When that timer at the end of the month gets paid, we are streetwise too. Which is why I really don't mind. That's Ubuntu. It's an exchange.
It's an exchange, yeah.
And I was like, maybe if we were to, which people would say is not Ubuntu, which I'm like, I think it is. Maybe if we were to monetize our Ubuntu, we'd get it. Where we're like, look, I'd pay you 200. And you're like, sure. But Ntwana, I can also, lento ofuna ngwenzele is also 200. So then now we're bartering. So you're like, okay, I know Ntwana then sikrend. No money exchange hands, no tax was paid, but we both know that this was the value. And I remember explaining to Amachit at a time where it was like, my girlfriend does nothing. What do you mean? She just sits at home with the kids. I pay rent. I buy groceries. I give her an allowance. How much do you make? 15th hour. It's okay. This girl does nothing. Antoine, I uselessly made. Okay. What does she do? Let's just go through it.
Yeah.
No, we are paying her.
Okay. So for you, that's nothing.
We are cleaner, try laundry.
Looks after the kids.
She does homework with the kids and what. I'm like, okay, let's put a price on all these things.
Yeah.
Once you've put a price on all these things, you start realizing, no, Losisi Mklampe should be getting 8 hour.
Exactly.
I'm like, yabon jobu fagu 15. Now Losisi fagu 8.
No, that's true. Because you're going to say the tutor. I guess she's the tutor.
Sure.
She's a maid.
Yeah.
Kamu, she's a chef.
Lapo, she also gives you business advice and what. She goes over. And if she
she's a psychologist as well.
Yes.
So I charge around on everyone. It's actually even more than the 15. No, it's okay.
I've said the same to Amacheri.
Yeah.
Who feel like certain gents are useless. And I'm like, you clearly haven't given him tasks. Stupid things. They might, or stupid to the world. If he's not working, let him drive you to work and back.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Njobe la endlini ntwana uyi security njengoStumo in school is nice.
True.
The security, send him on errands.
Yeah.
It might annoy him or what, but in your head you must be like, I need to get value here.
You have to.
And also, it's hopefully gonna give the guy dignity so that it's like, babe, I don't know what to do. Pella, if you're not around, I can't get to work. Then I had to call an Uber. Okay, I know. Yes, okay. Hey, no, she can't. I'm scared. Please come in. Okay, sure, I'm coming. Yeah. You feel something as umchit. But also we can quantify the value of those things. And that would be the value exchange of men and women, children and parents, which maybe if we put monetary, like capitalism, if we were to put monetary items, we'd say, it can't be that every time Uncle Sizwe, whenever he comes from Joburg to visit, he always gathers us. Fundani Bitcoin. Bitcoin. Forex. There's this thing, multi-level marketing. No, yazi mofundi IT. IT yadlisa manje. khona la mali next bo check isasol ikhipha amabhasari, and you're like, this uncle is always annoying us with knowledge and information. And we've never thanked him. We've never bought him a bottle. There's going to come a day when he's not going to come back fuckle. Yeah. And he's going to go to another place, another family. They're going to benefit. And then it's going to be like, when you think you're better now, Susiza, your wife's family.
Yeah.
Because they appreciate you.
Yeah. They see you. Because every human being must be validated somehow. And if the other family validates you, there's some people who get married, they're like, I'm in a family, I'm going next. I supported the sister, the nieces, the nephews, because there is being seen.
Yeah.
And it feels important. When he walks in, they're like, I was out crying. Because now
you come back to a family function, and there's a sheep.
Yeah.
When you get there, it's like, to I put Tebs besacela nje uze ngapha mawufika kuthiwa but Tebs, we don't have much lesa skapu leyamvu yakho.
Yeah.
What do you no nje sumze sicela ukubonga, yazi you're so valuable, siyazi ukuthi akusinto enkulu kodwa nje, and you like, and I'm sure you'll get a bit emo, you're like, so these guys said, and they're like, Uncle Tebs, we must do something for him, mfethu. Bahlanganisa mfethu amasend because they don't have much, and they were like, we'll get him a sheep.
Value.
The next time you come there, you might bring them a cow. So already the investment has now yielded fruit.
And I guess what you're saying is right. We don't value maybe the knowledge, the knowledge of the cultural stuff. Because what you're speaking about did happen, the exchange. And I guess as well, it doesn't happen as often now. We don't do cultural things as often anymore.
We don't do as often.
Yeah, so that value exchange is not being practiced anymore. Number two, the idea of individualism, like I live by myself, I take care of my own family. I don't need to interact with my sister, my cousins. So these things become less unless you are deliberate to say, but no, these things actually have to happen in the family. That's why now you always speak about the thing of third generation. After that, it's done. You know what I mean?
Have you seen women complaining about being a makoti? Oh, now I must be a makoti and be chopping what? Imagine if they were getting paid.
Okay.
I get there's certain older women that understand the value of going to help out. Because normally they come back with amascons. With inyama.
Sure.
With whatever. So they've found a way to gain their own value from that.
Yeah.
But imagine if we standardized it. We would say, all the women that come to chop and what, they get paid or they walk away with certain value. So that when you're like, I now have to go and chop, and you're like, you're going to come back with like 3 stina. But you complain so don't act like it's right now. Women feel like they're being exploited. That's why they don't want to do it. That's why they don't want to go there. So I must go to your house and play makoti. But they don't mind going to play whatever at work. Because they feel like at
there's
work,
a value exchange there.
There's a value exchange.
Ngapha
I'm feeling exploited. So don't make them feel exploited. Being like, every time we go to work at functions, you'll actually have people fighting to be like,
but where's the thing of obligation in fact to a family? Doesn't that play a factor with the example that you're speaking about?
So the obligation, this is what I'm saying about Ubuntu, and that's why I'm like, it can be debatable on when you want to destroy our Ubuntu, and I'm like, I think it was meant to be value exchange.
Yeah.
So the obligation is meant to be like, yes, I'm obligated, but what is the return obligation?
You're right, because actually you're right. That's when you think about cultural things. And I think you guys know it is the thing of, even when you span, at the end of his span, Rakhadi must get something, Malume must get something, because they were the leaders of this whole thing. Whether Nelly, Finrali, they did everything. So that the leg of this cow, no matter what happens, it has to go to Malume.
And people will fight.
They'll
be like, excellent, want to make sure.
Yeah.
Kufana noguti, you're a prime master at your home. Your woman puts your meat aside. It can't be you get to the kitchen, Baba, sorry, Baba, the meat is finished. You're like, I don't understand now.
Yeah, no.
Then it's like,
yeah.
Futhi will put a lot of pieces or they bring it to you first, Baba. When we can, no, Bamba extra. No, Baba. Because we have to appreciate you.
Yeah. So it was there. Definitely was there. Yeah, I guess it was cultural and no more the economic side of things. Let's hear the other stuff.
Ubuntu asks you to help your community find jobs. By your community, it's your siblings, it's your cousins, it's whatever. Capitalism asks you to only help your community find jobs if it will pay you. so many of us don't feel any need and desire to help our cousins and what. And sadly, again, Ubuntu has to be two-way. They don't show up. The few that you've given an opportunity to get into spaces have let you down. They've ruined your reputation. They don't appreciate. I've said before, when people had me on social media, I said, every time someone gets you a job, every time someone helps you sell something in your business, pay them commission.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be cash because some people are funny. Be like, and even when they get you a job, maybe we standardize it to 3 to 6 months, 10% of your salary. Just to bonga, because it incentivizes them to help the next person. And it's also a thank you because they wouldn't have gotten that money any other way. And if you naturalize that, people are now incentivized to help. Every time I know I'm gonna get something. So why would I not want to? Because I benefit.
Whereas Ubuntu at its core assumes that human beings are designed like that. They would just help natural, irrelevant of what they want to get.
Just have Ubuntu. How can I have Ubuntu if my cousin Twana, I get him into the job and now he's bad-mouthing me to my boss? And tomorrow say I'm Pampela. And the day I'm retrenched and I'm like, Twana, hey, Malume, now you're bugging me. I'm bugging you. I helped you get a scholarship in high school. Now I'm okay, no sure. The next nephew, what? That wants help. I'm like, no, ngikren. Israel Mateke Zulu was on, I think it was Podcast and Chill, one of the first episodes to hit over 1 million views.
Where they shot at Alex, it was not in the studio.
Was it Alex? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like in a kitchen or something.
Yeah.
And he spoke about this thing of trying to help kids get into this acting space. You use your petrol, you feed them, and then as soon as bepopa, now the parents are like, when you're exploiting, what? And he's like, that's when he stopped. He was like, stack. I'm not sharing opportunity. I'm not sharing knowledge, nothing. Because there's no appreciation here at all.
So you're saying we need to put a monetary value or an exchange value to appreciation, which is Ubuntu.
Almost everything. Yabona at its core, I actually think that's what Ubuntu was.
Yeah.
Your old lady, you get home, and she cooks you your favorite meal. In your head, you must be like, I owe the old lady something.
Yeah.
Then immediately you must think, what puts a smile on her face?
Yeah.
Airtime, a day spa,
buying
whatever. Electricity. And you're like, that's all. Because she made me happy. It's not meant to be a big deal. And some of these things don't even sometimes need money like that. Because for some people, your presence is a gift.
Just you being there in
Just you being there, ntwana ibakhuphula imorale. Uthi mfethu kanti hey usasibona mfethu. No. Awuthi sami sokulandela i-drink, awuthi siyo. And everyone runs because they're like, hey, and you're like, oh shit. And they call the neighbors like, say, Sizwe is here, and you're like, oh, but Sizwe senfikile, and you're like, oh, ola. No basitshelile ntwana besila egroundini sisasigijima. You're like, oh shit. So it's like a thing. Okay.
Hectic.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Ubuntu says you must throw away goods that have expired or will expire. So they're not healthy, they're not fine. Capitalism says sell expired goods or goods that will expire at discount. Someone who's selling you, we speak about spaza shops today, someone who's selling you rotten food or expired food that they wouldn't give to their own child.
Yeah.
Clearly doesn't see you as a human being.
Yeah. Because I wouldn't do that. Me, myself. Yeah.
You know, we've had this chat with my mom where we speak about uklasa, your own family members.
Okay.
My mom had this bad habit, and I think it's from her generation, where she used to buy herself in a spray.
Okay.
For it. And then she was supposed to cream more. Something I told in a spray because it was for high class.
As in you
her children.
What are the sevens? You and the sevens
So yeah, it's fine. So when you're a pensioner and I'm working, what must happen? I thought sevens. Yeah. Am I not also offering fair value as your child? I'm adding value.
Yeah, you're adding value, and that's a small piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. When you're a pensioner,
Let's say
whatever
you say
you
the
add
same
will
thing.
also be a small piece of the puzzle.
No.
I'm saying this is what causes the animosity. I'm not saying, look, that you all lady mustn't have her own thing. It's cute and it's whatever. I'm speaking about the mindset where there's certain foods we don't eat, or we're going through our cupboard and since you're vashela the extended family and you're like, oh, check out expire seniyakuhlanganisa. Sambe sonikeza usizo. I'm like, say, don't do that. Some of these kids bayabuthi, oh, okay. Thina njalo. No, but we always used to bring food for you. Why are you guys so angry? Or you mean you expired food that you were throwing out? You mean the t-shirts with the holes that you didn't want to put in the dustbin? That's what we must applaud you for. Hey, auntie used to love us. And I've had this chat with my old age, like, say, check. Because this is how black people feel with white people.
Yeah.
It's that same class in Guti. Why don't you like this? This is for, and you're like, say, it's not that you're throwing this thing away on me. The dang vuga, and you're like, I was there for you. You weren't there for me. You treated me like a dog.
You actually didn't want that thing.
If you want me to treat you the way you treated me, sure. You can get into the back of my buggy. You can sleep outside and you can eat from these plates that I feed the dogs with.
Can I just ask something? How do you show agency in a situation where people want to be charitable to you?
What do you mean, how do you show agency?
In a sense that I feel
how do you have standards?
Yeah, so I feel like sometimes you need to almost show value in being proactive to say, okay, mhlampe, if ngikwenzela ABC and you're not just giving me food out of nowhere for free, that then sort of raises your value, because as human beings, siyatlasana.
Yes.
Natural.
So if I'm going to give you something all the time without getting something back, naturally human beings will view that person as lower than them.
That's correct.
Yeah, but
That's correct.
so that's what I'm trying to figure out.
How do we get it right in the mind of the giver or in the receiver?
Both.
Okay.
Because I feel like even the receiver needs to then take some kind of agency to say, okay, I can't keep getting these things in J.
This is why I learned to hate charity and I learned to hate a grant, because there's no reciprocal value. Yeah. And that's where you destroy the mind. And that's where people are like, oh, we ANC siyabonga, and you're like, no. Because you realize it destroys the mindset of someone. So to what you're saying, so I was making an example of, we now live in the suburbs. My mom is a nurse or a school teacher. We now go to decent schools. And we're now visiting our relatives, her siblings, abasalekasi, where they're living on a grant and what. And your old lady or your timer is taking like expired foods back to them.
Yeah.
And I'm coming from that mindset of, you don't know when their children grow up where they're going to end up. They might end up becoming entrepreneurs or rich or what. And the day your mom or your dad are like, oh, but since Caesar, they're going to be like, hey, you can go fuck yourself. Because we were children and obviously Sasbon just patella something. But at some point, Sapatwa I see so, and then we realize, no, but these people keep bringing expired chocolates type of situation. That's the context I was raising. In a situation where people are beggars and people are charity recipients, grant recipients, we need to, you're very right, educate the giver and where possible, educate the receiver. That this can't be your life. It's not sustainable. And you need to do something for these people. It could be you draw them pictures, you dance for them. As soon as Uncle Caesar arrives, we wash their car, what, so that there must be something of value that they get as well. Number one, to show appreciation, but number two, to be like, I bought you guys chicken. The day I will be like, yeah, but we also used to wash your car and babysit your kids and come to your garden and what. Maybe it wasn't at the same level of value, but you mustn't act like, Jay, you were just giving us. We also were thanking you in some way.
How you then educate the giver in the situation of you're giving to beggars?
Sure, and then to the giver, you must explain the destructive nature of giving in that sense. Number one becomes this thing of don't give expired things and whatever that you wouldn't consume.
Yeah.
Because it's actually demeaning. Number two is, okay, so you give these kids things. A good example is beggars on the street, which I also hate. I think begging should be criminalized, to be honest. When you leave crumbs on the floor, you're inviting cockroaches and rats. As long as you keep leaving crumbs, they'll keep coming back.
Yeah.
A similar thing happens with a human being who's begging, where all you're doing is you're giving them crumbs. You are creating the habit of every day you come here, you'll get crumbs. Don't worry.
Yeah. No matter what.
If we were to stop giving beggars money or food or whatever, they would be like, exercise, keep it, and they'd get off the street. Where that go now becomes a new conversation.
Crime and blah, blah, blah.
Type of situation.
Sure.
But we can't normalize that. So similarly, the idea of I spent 18 years on a child grant, then I spent the next however many years to 65 on a 370 SRT grant, living in an RTP house. Then I was on an old age grant. When your whole life, you've just been a leech. At which point did you ever, but I'm a South African citizen. And some of those people end up being angry at foreigners who come in here undocumented, but who work. A car guard, a gardener, what they
Things you wouldn't want to do as a South African.
You're too good for.
You're too proud of. Yeah.
So if we were to create a system that would change that, the giver, whether it's government or a taxpayer or an NPO, get these people to do something
In exchange for us as taxpayers.
When
do something.
When I used to do charity in Tetir, that became one of the things to say, before we feed these kids, they must play disc.
By exercise.
So that becomes exercise, or you're learning a skill, whatever, as an example. And the plan, I just never got a chance to fully thrash it out because of life. My plan was to say, we will feed these kids. We will document these kids. And then at some point, we must start tracking their education. Are they studying at school? Are they attending? What's the situation like at home? So that we try to fix their minds somehow. And I wanted to create a gardening project. To say, it comes from the garden. So now, before you guys play soccer, what, you're going to start off by working in the garden. And then you're going to go play soccer. And then you're going to come eat. So that these kids become something.
Yeah.
And where possible with the capitalist mindset, you're like, how do we milk these kids? We make pictures of them, we make TikTok dance challenges, what, so that we can monetize and then come back. So that we feed them, but they give us something. And we're also giving them a skill and they're becoming somebody. It's a technical conversation, but it needs to be had. If we are serious, if we're not serious about empowerment, then obviously don't educate, don't uplift. Keep them at the bottom, keep them useless, give them crumbs. Leave them as rats. The problem with rats and cockroaches is the more they grow, like with social grant recipients and beggars, they might overrun your house. And whatever you thought you were trying to do, maybe might come back to bite you. Those rats are going to bite your child while you're sleeping. They're going to bite you and you're going to have disease. Those cockroaches are going to infest your house and whatever. Now you've got a bigger problem, and it's a self-created problem. When they say the poor will eat the rich, or if you push the poor to such desperation that they'll end up, it's that situation. So, yeah. I was just saying, with Ubuntu, you throw those things away. With capitalism, you sell those things at a discount. And I know corporates, retailers, the expired stuff, they tend to give to pig farmers to feed pigs, which is arguably immoral. And then the stuff that's going to expire, they normally push down to the spaza shops, or they donate to charity, and you're like, we'd like to thank this retailer for free food. Mina check along it, the yogurt is expire kusasa. Or the yogurt expired last week. And then I'm like, your date. So I know it's right. And yeah, sure, I know the expiry dates doesn't mean it's bad, but I'm like, it was charity. They write it off as CSI and tax benefits, but they were just looking to benefit from this thing. It's not out of goodness. It be expire the product, or it's expire.
Yeah, or when you know the whole thing of how a whole store works, whether it's a Pick and Pay or whatever, the cooking section is that food. Because once after you've put them in the butcher, 2 days before you see these things are not vying, you need to then now cook it. So that
Who was speaking about that?
Maponya.
Oh yes, Kulufelo Mapone,
Yeah,
Tuyu
that
Foods.
whole
When the food is
bakery.
not fresh anymore, or
They cannot-
the fresh produce, they use it to create
Yeah,
created food.
exactly. So
Like some of these restaurants, and number one, I mean, I don't like hot toast. But you see, when you say, please don't toast my bread, the quality of their bread.
yeah, no.
It toast hides the bread. Easy.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Let me finish this thing. Naming funda for too long.
Yeah, let's hit the other one.
Ubuntu says that you must leave a business opportunity if it will cause you to fight with your sibling, your brother. Capitalism says that you must kill your brother when money comes between you. And we see this all the time.
Yeah.
We see this
What does
with
Ubuntu say?
politicians
Go with
and the like.
Ubuntu first. What did you say?
Ubuntu says that you must leave a business opportunity which will cause you to fight with your sibling.
Oh, problem. Hey.
Na tender, na position, na uba uskaka.
Kagagma.
Uba lo mchita lo.
Hey.
He was an ANC Youth League guy.
Hey, I know that thing very well. Yeah, family. I'm afraid to keep this relationship with my sibling.
Sindiso Makaka
Yeah.
was assassinated while serving as a local councillor of Umzimkhulu local municipality. How many people kill each other over my position?
Yeah, no.
Namatenda.
Yeah.
Cabanga mfethu, we're both in the same organization. We both claim that we're here to serve the community, but I'm taking you out.
Yeah.
We're killing each other over my taxi route. By your sibling or your brother, obviously, it could be blood or it could be. Ubuntu would be like, no. Either we share it or siyayeka.
Yeah.
Capitalism says, "Execution lenjali."
Yeah, no. Yeah. And Ubuntu vele some families vele that still practice that. They're like, Antona, what, let this thing shut down, Ton. So that you and I at Christmas, we can still be cousins or brothers or have a relationship with your dad, mom.
This could also apply to Icheri.
Kanjan.
Yeah? No,
Okay, kanjan, mafethu.
As in, you then decide to both walk away from that woman for the sake of the relationship.
So what is going on? Oh, I used to be with that chick. How much that it's too sensitive.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You have to walk away. We call that bro code. Yeah. You have to walk away. That could be the love of your life.
So
but
Ubuntu da.
That's Ubuntu. To a point where in a situation like that, if you really want that girl, you must assess if you're willing to break this relationship. And you must be honest.
I am a cheater never. Woman would, I'm a cheater never. I'm a cheater like I hasn't. It's fine.
Yeah,
I'm a cheater. I'm afraid they've got a code. That's my buffet. So you're better, buffet.
No, I would get better.
I would get better. We're human beings.
But I'll tell you also rationality. Not blood brothers. But if you and I are out, we work together, we went to varsity together, whatever. And I meet him at a grand. And you're like, say, Donna, this could be my wife. This could be the rest of my life. You and I, you move to Canada next year. Mind you tell me, Donna, ngazami, because mhlampe ingane zami mfethu, lo sisi ukuphethe ingane zami angazi. Wena manje uyangiblocker. Ngoba manje like awangilimaza. Ntwana I understand ngiyaxolisa. Yikho bengizokucela. Ntwana yami, yabo if you get with that chick, Ntwana, please don't ever call me your friend again.
Hectic.
And you spend some more time with that chick to assess, and you go back to your outcheck like, I really like this chick.
Yeah, that's hectic. But I was on a pro code, buffet.
Bro code
is not set in stone. It's not that.
But you communicate. Bro code is communicating. When you break the bro code is when I bump into your ex. I know very well she's your ex. You love this chick. And I'm like, and I get in there. Without telling you, without nothing, that's foul. Well, that's where you're like, this is not Ubuntu. And this happens with women and also with money.
But yeah.
Now, opportunity, if say, we're looking for a production company to what? Do you know any? I know, I'll see. What's the budget? No, we need, no, I'll sort it out.
Oh, broker deal,
Next thing you're like, hey, you know that other fucking production company Ntwana got this deal. I don't know kanjani because hey, that's work, that's for us. It's ish, okay. You learn late to take upenzo wafaka la machita because betoli card. How much Ntwana mina usacabangi? Mfethi nyuku. Business is business. You know how it is.
Capitalism.
Okay.
Capitalism.
Ubuntu promotes working for your extended family and sending money to them to uplift them. Capitalism promotes moving away from your extended family that needs help and enjoying your success alone. Some people have said things like, because of equal, you must move away from ICAS, which is a real concern.
Sure.
Other people have said,
Move and send money.
no, it's your family will milk you. When people start debating about black tax, what? And they're like, get away from those people. Those people are going to destroy you. Ubuntu says, I don't care how bad it is.
Yeah, no.
Capitalism says, if you want that car, that house,
You must stop sending that money.
your kids in that private school,
Yeah.
sometimes that capitalism comes in the form of your woman. No, but I need to send money to my... But babe, come on. For how long are you going to keep sending money to your dad? I mean, really? You've already done a lot. Say, babe, I think you're right.
Angeke. Hayi, angeke. No. There's some things you must not... I think if people have played a major role in your life, no.
And they haven't played a major role?
That's where now what you're saying about Ubuntu agreement exchange. So that's why when you're growing up, that exchange did not happen for like a good 20, 30 years with your siblings,
Sure.
with your old lady, with your timer.
You didn't grow up with your timer because your old lady kept you from him.
Sure.
And now super popular, now your timer needs help.
Yeah. It's going to be hard. But if there was an exchange...
But it wasn't by his choice though.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But I'm saying, I get it. Some of what the woman would say might be justified and all those things. Maybe now you want to help them because of feeling and all of that. But if your people were helping you, Usakula, you must never listen to a woman. Like, hey, I'm obliged to send that money. It's not even a conversation.
So our kids can't go to private school now.
No, it's okay. I am obliged. I am what I am now.
Are you not
because
obliged
of
to
that.
our children?
I am, but
our children should be a
I need
priority.
to find a balance. I'm the one that...
Well, the balance is private school.
You know
and the
the-
only way into private school is if you cut.
You know the theory of the one. You know it. It's the guy that actually made it out. You are the one. You are the sacrificial lamb. So you need to, whatever you do is for the greater good of the family. And some people are running away from the one for whatever reason, like capitalism now, be with your own family. And I think that's why families are so messed up. Because most families have the one. But that one chooses not to help the families.
It's also when the family has burnt the one.
Yeah, no, for sure, Ntwana. But I think...
But you're right, they choose not to.
They choose not to prom. So I think most I almost said amachita, men, women are working now. So I think when you are the one, I feel that you are obliged, in fact. I guess for me, that's how I live. I'm obliged to, hey man, I have to make a plan for them to be nice.
I've got
But
choices.
don't you think that there should be a conducive environment for the one?
No, I get your conducive environment is you and your wife, you are away. I get you stay in Midrand and your old lady stays in Tembisa and your siblings. I'm saying your conducive environment is you and your wife, but you must still send the money to these people here.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that also in the people that you are helping, shouldn't there be a conducive environment there where you are empowered, whether it's, I don't know, kuba na something ekugquzelayo nawe to keep being the one or to further, helping out.
So one of them must put you in that position where you can continue to be the one.
Yeah,
so,
because I feel like there needs to be something that's in service of the one. For the one to continue.
To be the one. And still give back and help.
Because it's work.
There's this English word that troubles me sometimes. Reciprocity. So Sis is speaking about something that I've argued before, that if I'm going to be sending money to my extended family, are they watching my podcast episodes? Are they sharing my podcast episodes?
Yeah.
If I'm running a business, are they marketing my business? Like something that shows some level of appreciation. You just want my money. But you don't think, how things see the Grotman to Lingenelana, hey, as I share your thing, that stuff is being done by strangers. They're like, I don't like your podcast. God and I share it all the time because I tell everyone to watch your thing and what. And I market all your businesses and what. But how wins when that thing of being a beggar? Because I'm not going to help you because the land is not fertile. Let me read this word again. Ngoba iyangishaya. Reciprocity. I've got a cousin who became the one in the family.
It's a true story.
This is a true story.
Okay.
He's half of a mentor, and I admire him very much.
Dope.
There'd be times I'd speak about the family and bring the family together and what, and he'd tell me like really painful stories. And he was like, just be careful. And I'm like, why? He's like, the number of our cousins that I've helped up, put through school, give them opportunities. And then as soon as they have opportunities, they don't do the same. They don't pass it forward. And when you ask them to help with something, it's like you're being a burden. It's like that stuff will train you. Because the reason ngangithumela inyuku endlini was so that i-olethu lizoskelezisa iy'ngane zasekhaya zizovuka. It wasn't so that I'm forever. And when they start working, they must also chip. And if they can thank me back so that I can plow it now into my children. But when ngikuvusile manje, all of a sudden you're too good, and the sacrifices I made, you're buying the fancy car and the fancy house. When I'm like, manje the family, like, yo, my kids are at private school, I can't.
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah, exactly.
Bitch, my kids could have gone to private school. Can't do that. Mina bengishaya indlu apho mina ngithumela inyuku. Come on, but the old lady is old, man. I think she must. Hey, that stuff breaks your spirit.
Yeah.
It's like sending money home, and then you find out your siblings or your cousins are not skelezoring the way because the uncle pulls in you or uyakembula. Hey, that stuff breaks your spirit.
Or your siblings are just having kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usenda nyuku. Ayena upop abana ntate. Ntsabana first born, second born.
Sometimes you're sending money to your mother and she's lying to you. They're lying to you that your brother or your sister living there from that money with their children.
Exactly. When in your mind, like, I've cut
you
off.
I send too much money. But she's always asking, yes, shorter.
Jan, can't it the siblings and the children? Oh, man, you go crazy. You're like, what?
We ANC when I go. We social welfare.
You are Christ. You know when people say, what's up,
yeah, we're
yeah. And serious, you know people who believe like a heavy Christian, like, yo, like, then you break it down. You're like, wait, you go to church, you pray every time. No one is helping you from the church. Umfundisi is not helping. No one else in the family is helping.
You are helping.
Can not like that, Mudim.
Usia Nganga said this to his mom. May she rest in peace. Because she was a prayer warrior.
Sure.
And she was like, all the things that you have are from my praying.
Okay.
And Usia was like, well, if it's your praying, then why don't your other kids have as well? When you always tell me what I have, it's because you pray. And then, because obviously he's a non-believer. But I think those Mudimo people, if they're serious about life, they must pray in front of you, the one. Fridge lapha game la 20,000 kodwa Jesu. So that now you must be like, oh, Jesu. And then you go to the field like, no, I think Jesus sent me to be. But you already must speak loud here so that you hear with hey. Yazi kodwa ne roof ne ceiling yami nje hey uNkulunkulu kodwa uzobona wenze njani? What wenze njani?
I wanted to go somewhere. Yeah, let's go more.
This thing is also not ending, man.
Lahlela.
A person who believes in Ubuntu will not exploit a capitalist. Capitalists love exploiting people who believe in Ubuntu.
Yeah.
It's arguably for me why I'll call it the white community in South Africa that makes money, loves it when black people celebrate their culture. Yeah. Because they profit off of that. Yeah. I'll add Asians as well, the Indians and the Chinese. They sell the products needed for us to celebrate our... And then with this thing of Ubuntu is that you're a good person, so you're never going to be greedy. You're never going to... Meanwhile, on the other side, Baba, they're very happy to exploit you.
Baba.
Ubuntu teaches that money is or can be evil. Capitalism teaches that money is a noble tool. Ubuntu by design doesn't allow you to make profit or make a lot of profit. Capitalism allows you to make as much profit as you possibly can.
You know, before you go to the other ones, that thing of, hey, tjhelete ke Satan, tjhelete ke Satan. Once you understand money and how to move with money and the energy of money, obviously, if you won't have that thing that money is Satan. You won't. And I don't know why Abutaki sometimes they fear in you, but the one that very same money to help them, but they fear it. Like you mustn't have a lot of it because it changes. Is it because they've seen a lot of people that when they got the money, things didn't go well in their life? Because that money, like at what point did money become an evil thing?
It's cognitive dissonance. It's the clashing of ideas. I want to send my child to and study at the school of the oppressor and to be around the oppressor's children. Why would you do that? Unless you've got clashing ideas of, I hate these people, but I also think my child will be best served spending time with these people. The church would have a similar argument with money, the love of money, but don't forget to donate. So ingayithandi kodwa kumele ngiyilethe la esontweni. And I said this on Podcast and Chill when I went there back in 2022 when we launched, in the month that we launched this podcast. The way money was introduced to Black people was traumatic. It was forced through hard tax and the like. So to this day, Black people work for money. They need money. But they understand that it's the tool of the white man. It's the white man that brought it. It's the white man that uses it to oppress. So as much as I need it, it's like, let me not get too much because then I'll become like him.
So what, you're mixing capitalism and Ubuntu at the same time?
Yeah.
That thing doesn't make sense.
But we are clash. It's...
No. Yeah, man, I really think people should learn money. I think they must take away this evil thing, man. They need to take it away.
No,
because
there's an evilness to money, and I'm happy to have that chat if you want.
Look, I also think it kind of makes it easier for capitalism to thrive.
Sure.
If money is evil.
Yeah. I hear you, for sure.
Because now you're not competing.
Yeah, you can't compete. Those who actually understand money are left alone to do money things.
You want us to talk about why money is evil?
Yeah, we can hit.
Okay, I'll do it after I'm done reading.
Okay, maybe when we go into it, I'll give you the why I was saying that.
You'll remember?
Yeah, I'll remember.
Okay. With Ubuntu, you only get paid for the effort you put in. With capitalism, you get paid even for other people's efforts.
Yeah.
Ubuntu doesn't allow you to profit off of. Usizwe goes and it does something.
Yeah.
Capitalism is happy to collect. And then Usizwe has to march and toy and set up a trade union to be like, "Kodwa mfethu bespantsha, okay, me. Nah, fuck, okay, we'll give you water."
Yeah.
That's capitalism, boy. So I explained Ubuntu is humanity. I am because we are. Capitalism is about profit maximization. I say this. In closing, my advice is this. Exercise Ubuntu with those who reciprocate the effort, the energy, the information, and the resources. These are often family, friends, and others who share your values. Exercise capitalism with anyone who doesn't fit the criteria above.
Done.
And get the maximum profits out of them for the benefit of your Ubuntu community. And I think that's how the Jews have done it. I think that's how the Muslims have done it.
Yeah. And I would add that don't practice it only because it's family. Practice with the people you think want to practice it with you, or they've shown you. Whether it's your friend and one family member, that is your Ubuntu people. It mustn't be the whole family, because most of them haven't even shown that they are part of this thing of Ubuntu. So yeah, I don't think it must be concentrated on the family.
Okay, Hit, you wanted to say something?
On your closer. No, I was just saying that part of the reason why we are finding ourselves in this situation of poverty is because we are shying away from learning about money. Because some people still have that mentality, no, this thing is evil.
Yeah.
So once you say it's evil, you're like, hey, I don't even want to learn about it. I don't even want to know anything about it. So So I'm saying that mindset sometimes can make you not understand how to use money or just unpack what money is. So I'm saying, I think it is evil to a certain extent, and you will unpack it now. But also, if that is your only mindset about money, you'll never understand money. You will choose not to want to understand it and unpack it and figure out, how do I get it? How do I retain it? How do I invest it so that I get more? Because your mindset is it's evil. Then you shy away from it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Robert Kiyosaki with Rich Dad Poor Dad changed my mindset on money. This was years ago.
All of us, man.
Then I would read The Ascent of Money. It's a good book. Neil Ferguson. If you're not a reader, there's a documentary. I think it's still on YouTube. Then I'd read a whole lot of money books. You Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill,
Yeah.
The Richest Man in Babylon, George S. Clayson
The original. The Richest Man in Babylon.
is one of the original books.
Ah, that one is the original album. Yeah.
And many other books, of course.
Sure.
Obviously, you spend time with rich people in various ways, and you study the history of business and the economy. I mean, I studied economics, so we went old school to All the Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. These are old books now. Other people will speak about Ayn Rand, I think, then the Atlas Shrugged or something like that. Anyways, I got to a point where I figured out that financial literacy is important. I still think it's important. And at the time I was getting into this financial literacy thing, when Nicolette Mashile started speaking a lot about money. I think she's called the financial fitness bunny now.
Yeah.
She's written books and kiddies books on money. She's been a brilliant activist and educator on money for ordinary people. I sat with her and Gerald Mwandiambira. He used to be on, I don't know if it's Business Day, the channel. I don't know if it's still around. He decided to interview me and her. And we had a chat afterwards, and she said one of the biggest things that is still coming in the future is the psychology of money. And you can teach people all you want about money. She's like, but if the mind is not okay, they're never going to grasp. Because she says there's a psychological damage. Like, it's not a utisha, it's a therapy thing. Where when people get a phone call from a 087 number, by a penika, and we used to have those window envelopes, which is debt, and just how people feel about money. A very close friend of mine, we'd have a conversation about money, and they asked, what is your psychology around money? And I explained. And then they turned around and they said, I just believe that money is a tool. And I said, I hear what you're saying, but I disagree with you. But I understand why you're saying it because of also where you are. There's something to be said about people that have a good amount of money and how they view money. And sometimes that can only come once you get to a certain level.
Only once you've acquired it. Yeah.
Only. When you start telling people that, no, this bread is fine, they're like, it's not fine. And it's like, it's because you've been eating good quality bread from Woolworths or whatever. So now you're too good for this. And you can only say this because now you're there. Now it takes, it's dangerous. Now it's, my children won't walk here. But a few years, you can only get to that understanding when you get there, which people can then debate whether that's right or wrong. My understanding of money today is that money is the root of all evil. Maybe not all, most evil. People are like, no, that statement is incomplete. It's the love of money.
Yeah.
The greed for money is the root of all evil. And I'm like, no, I hear you. And I want to agree, but my studying of the history of money, because we bartered, there's a theory that needs to be broken, by the way, around what bartering is. Because whenever I say things like bartering, there are people that are like, oh, what are you going to barter when you need a cell phone? And come on, don't be stupid. We didn't barter for everything. People don't understand that. We only bartered for things we needed. When you move into a barter economy, the first thing that happens is your mindset automatically goes to, what can I do for myself so that I don't need it from somewhere else? Which is why poor people should actually, and I always say, one of the biggest solutions to poverty is bartering. Because if you say, I don't have money, but what do I need? My kids need to go to school. I need food. But I don't have anything to give, which means I now have to educate my own kids. I need to grow my own food. And wherever you can't, then it's like I need to find a skill. If I don't have it, someone must give it to me. In fact, a lot of these undocumented foreigners that come into South Africa, They come in and they patch tires and they fix cars and they cut hair, things that don't need much, but it's what small skill can I get to get a little bit of money? But for you to be, what small skill can I get so that I can barter with it? In a barter economy, most people can generate everything themselves. So back in the day, we weren't bartering for I need cabbage, therefore you plant your own cabbage. It would only be for small things where you've got guns or you found steel somewhere and we need it to make weapons. So then I'll give you cows, which I have in abundance. But you don't need cows because you've got your own. That person needs cows. We don't need to worry about that. It's only on the things where I'm really good at teaching this or I'm really good at doing that. So then you guys will give me something in exchange for this thing I'm really, really good at.
Yeah.
But most other things, bartering helps you figure out how to solve those things yourself. We used to barter. From bartering, then we used shells. From shells, we used precious stones. And by precious stones, I'm not necessarily speaking diamonds. Anything that looked unique and rare. Then we'd get to the gold, the silver, and then we'd get to arguably the papyrus. Maybe even bamboo and all those things. Then we got to paper notes and coins. The paper started with an IOU. I owe you in future, Ntwana mi bambala. And then you're like, Ntwana, you owe me.
Yeah.
So, and then the paper notes of money and then the coins. And then we moved to a gold-backed monetary system.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Ronald Reagan, if not Nixon. I think it's Ronald Reagan, with the removal of the gold standard, where we moved into where we are today with what we call fiat currency, which means the central bank controls the value of the money supply
Currency, yeah.
and the value of and how strong or weak it is. And sadly, people can argue this, we all feed back into America's Federal Reserve because the dollar is still the currency in the world for now. They can print money as they wish. They get to control They get to control whatever we deem money to be in the world. We're here today. We have poverty, people struggling, unemployment, and all those things. And we speak about money, financial literacy. We must learn about money and what. All of that money I explained up to now was a tool. It was, I can't carry umbila, I can't carry my cows, so hold this thing here because this thing can give you access to many other things out there that you might need.
Yeah.
So that is a tool. Ntwana, here's a mic. You can sing, you can rap, you can podcast, you can declare war, whatever. It's a tool for you. The Medici family became a banking dynasty in Florence, in Italy. Gang family. They're responsible for popes and queens, and they married into other royal families. Inkunz Malang. They came up with the double ledger system of debit credit, by the way. And they also were responsible for the funding of some of our most famous cathedrals in the world, and artists, some of our most famous historical artists were being funded by them. They believe very much in creativity and they built castles and those things. The next family that would take over would be, is it Nathan Meyer Rothschild? I apologize if I'm messing up his name, but time Rothschild would have 5 sons. And he sent his sons around Europe to go and expand his banking empire. England, France, I think Germany, I think Italy was there somewhere, and somewhere else. Yeah, there's another weird place. The two that have remained outside of all of these have been England and France, of which the most powerful now becomes England. These are in Ntwanazaki. What they did with banking and money is that they formalized banking into what we have now. And this bank became the Bank of England, the Central Bank of London, which is the template on which all central banks, including the South African Reserve Bank, sit on today.
Okay.
These guys are Rothschilds would fund wars and the like. So already when we're speaking money and evil and what, they were funding wars and. Money went from a tool, a medium of exchange, and a store of value. And then in that formalization of money and in the moving from the gold standard to fiat, there were things added to money which didn't exist before. Which is where I believe money became corrupted.
Okay.
Which is why today, it's a tool, sure, but it's got these poisonous aspects, which I believe are the reason we have so much poverty and suffering and why people commit heinous acts in the name of pursuing money. Some of these things are interest. Interest, when you study economics and finance, pays for the time value of money. If I give you 100 Rand now, at the end of the year, Fetu, come on, I needed that money. I could have done a lot of those things with that money. So you need to bring it back with something because I lost out opportunity cost. But the reality,
it could have been more for me.
I could have done things.
So you must now bring it at 110.
So for example, I give you a cow, I give you 2 cows and a bull. Come end of the year, Baba, you can't give me a bull and 2 cows because these they could have bred.
Interest,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The problem with the way interest is set up is that it doesn't mimic nature. If I give you 1,000 Rand and I charge 50% interest, that's 500 Rand interest at the end of a month, as an example. There is no cow that can give you a calf in a month. There is no seed that you plant that gives back produce in a month.
Yeah.
So already I'm enslaving you by asking you to bring back an unrealistic amount that nature does not mimic.
Monthly.
Whether monthly or annually.
At a minimum, it must be like 9 months, 7 months in faith. Yes. But now it's monthly that you must pay for that interest.
Yeah. So let me add the second one. So interest is the one, inflation. I want to make an example with these two. Inflation is the increase of prices generally. The price of things go up.
But that's man-made.
That is man-made. Interest is also man-made, right? Yeah. It's not nature.
Sure.
Now, what happens, which is why interest is unfair and doesn't mimic nature, is that you're going to be charged 10% interest on your home loan. But you're not going to get a 10% salary increase at the end of the year.
Yep.
And then inflation plays a role where the cost of things becomes more expensive. And you're not being compensated for that. So now you're working backwards.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the year, you owed this much at this percent interest. And then inflation chewed at the value of your money come end of the year. But then you only got a 3% increase.
Yeah, people always argue that, man, that our salaries are not mimicking inflation. Like they never.
And it's done on purpose.
Yeah.
This is what I'm saying. The system has corrupted what money used to be. Inflation, in my opinion, is legal theft by the government and the elite. Because there's an example that I use. If I own all the cows, 100 cows in a community, and I charge 10,000 Rand for a cow, that's okay. Inflation says, come end of the year, a cow that was 10,000 at the beginning of the year is now 15,000. The value of my real assets has gone up, but your money is worth less.
Exactly.
You now can't get a full cow for 10,000, but you work for me and I only pay you 10,000. So what do you have to do now? You need a cow end of the year. You need to go and borrow money. That 5,000 Rand to buy a cow.
Sure.
Now that money you're borrowing comes at interest.
Now in the interest now itself.
But now you're getting less cow for this money.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, your time, your labor is exactly the same. Again, we're not mimicking nature. Inflation becomes one. I add this one and I link it to interest.
Okay.
Which other people wouldn't do, but it's okay. This is just me. Profit.
Okay.
The concept of profit is meant to make sense. Again, like interest. It's
sure.
Ntwana, I had to go and put in work and labor and skill to get this thing. Now I'm selling it to you. I have to pay rent, my staff, and what. So lento ngiyithenge ngo-3 uzoyithenga 8 Rand.
Yeah.
Fair. So that's fair. Supply and demand, free market economics, what. The reality is profit, just like interest, is money that has been created out of thin air. There is no, outside of the excuses I've made, there's no reason for you to pay my rent or my staff. The value of this thing, according to what you said, where you got it from, was 3 Rand. And arguably, wherever I got it from, the farmer also, or the person sourcing the water, got it for 1 Rand. Now already, where is this money coming from? And you'll find out in places like fashion, retail, they make like 300% return. I get something from China for 100 Rand, and I'm selling it for 400. Where is this money meant to come from? I'm just asking from a nature perspective. I bought this cow. I got a cow. And now I'm giving you the cow, but I'm like, for this cow, I need 4 cows. Where are you supposed to get the cows from? And I'm like, no, you need to work for the cows. Okay, cool. let me come work for you. I'm like, okay, you're going to have to work for a year for 1 cow. Which means I need to work 4 years to get
The 4.
1 cow. You gave me 1 cow and I must pay you in 4 cow. Like, profit is also man-made as a concept. But people argue that it's the what and the supply and the demand and the what. Profit is another thing that poisoned money. There's a term called speculation, which, like inflation, is a form of theft. Speculation in the stock market is, and in property is, I bought this house and the price is going to go up. The market is doing well. What is that? Where is that coming from? Mm-hmm. Why, when you buy a share for 10 Rand, do you expect that share to be worth 20 Rand at the end of the year? That's what they call speculation. And speculation is driven by storytelling.
Sure.
You know, Tesla's coming up with the new technologies or what.
Yeah.
So like, hey, the share price at Tesla is going up. No, Donald Trump is fighting with Elon Musk. I know Tesla's stocks have gone down.
How?
But we still produce the same Teslas.
Exactly.
It's still the same quality car. Mm-hmm. Why did my money lose value? Why did my share lose value when nothing changed fundamentally?
The people who bought the cars still own the cars. The people that are about to buy the cars will still buy the cars. How?
Speculation.
Yeah.
And speculation steals money if you don't know what you're doing. And you lose money on the other side. So you buy a house in Hillbrow. Apparently, there's going to be a train station there. They're looking to gentrify. Sure. Government is putting solar panels. They're building a factory close by. You buy in Hillbrow early. Speculation says it's going to go up. You buy a house for R1 million. The announcements come from government. Ramaphosa says, I imagine a smart city and what. They're like, say, houses in that place are now going for 3 million. A house that you bought for 1 million, you're going to make 2 million profit.
Yeah.
The president falls sick. He decides he wants to step out of office. A new president comes in. He's like,
nope.
A smart city are not making sense. We need to go and invest in the villages. So Lente Hillbrow, out. Now the people that bought the houses in Hillbrow are now selling. They want to go and buy in the house you bought for R1 million, you can only sell for 600,000.
Yeah.
Same house. The house didn't lose a piece of wall or whatever. You've now just lost 400,000 out of thin air, out of speculation. And maybe I'll add this one and I call it luxury goods.
Okay.
Which, like speculation, is word mastery, story mastery. Why the Mona Lisa is deemed priceless. Why Gucci and Louis Vuitton and Mont Blanc and whatever brand you can think of is so expensive. The material is material. They can tell you a story about it's handcrafted. We get the softest wool and silk from what and what. And, you know, the ladies, they have mastered their craft over 30 years. And, you know, our grandfathers used to get... That is story. The cost of this thing, and look, there was a thing that happened recently with the tariff wars.
Oh, yeah. Then they exposed everything.
Where the Chinese were explaining that a lot of these luxury goods, we make them at this price. And then we sell them to the same factories that sell them on to you at a luxury. People are like, oh, ganjani. And it's like, even if that wasn't blown out of proportion, you should know that it's a luxury good. I buy a piece of canvas from an art store for 100 Rand.
Yeah.
I buy a set of paints for 200 Rand, 100, 200, and then my skill of painting and my time. It takes me 2 months. And I make an artwork. And then I come and I present it at an exhibition. And I'm like, you know, there was a time when my aunt was sick with cancer. And
story.
You know, I had to wake up every day and I used to bath her and I used to wash her, and the cancer was eating at her. And I watched her go from my favorite aunt to becoming a shriveled up piece of human. And in these 2 months, I took myself to those dark times where I was looking after my aunt. And I went and I studied medical history of what cancer actually is, the multiplication of cells, and how they start fighting with other cells and they compete for resources in your body. And I needed to depict an artwork which captured the essence of losing my aunt who will never come back, of what cancer actually is, which is why I burnt parts of the canvas, because this is the eating of. And I also got maggots to come and eat parts of, because I put food on the canvas for the maggots to be here. And then I burnt the canvas because chemotherapy is meant to be burning some of these cells. So there are dead maggots here. So I violated animal rights that were also just trying to survive. And this represents...
They took my aunt away.
And then I cut some blood. If you look here, I've got blood that I used to paint the pain of. That artwork then sells for 50 million.
Story, Bafan. Story.
You like it too? It makes sense, man. This artwork. Uven go and cut his ear and he was desperate.
Yeah, no. And my aunt as well went through this thing of cancer as well. Yeah,
so after I've explained those things that poisoned what money was meant to be as a tool, you look at a story like Zimbabwe, which is a good close story for us. Zimbabwe was one of the top economies in South Africa, on the African continent. They were leaders in tobacco. Mugabe made sure their education system was number one on the continent. They had gold. They were, a great manufacturing hub, etc., etc. Mugabe decided to take land from the white people because, like South Africa, they tried the willing buy, willing sell, and it wasn't working. And he was like, I've been patient with you guys. I'm now shafting you off for the benefit of my people. And that caused the rest of the world to retaliate. And in the retaliation, Mugabe were like, but money is a tool. There's $1. So we have a reserve bank, we're going to print. Because the Federal Reserve in America also prints. Under COVID, I don't know how many, if they print billions or trillions for relief money. We'll just print. They did the same. The so-called markets and the world retaliated, and it was called hyperinflation. Their money became worthless. No land was taken in Zimbabwe. No land disappeared. Are you listening?
See,
the sound of the aircon.
Is that rain?
I think it's the aircon. Sorry.
No, I thought it was rain.
I think it's the aircon. It is the aircon. DF Malan, Baba. Iy'nkunzi zencindezelo. DF, don't fuck with the aircon. Yeah.
Sure.
There's no land that disappeared. Whatever had been planted was there. The minerals were there. The labor force was there. The CIA. The CIA and the Rothschilds are listening to this conversation.
What the heck?
That's what we're dealing with here.
Hey, okay, sure.
Our technology into another day.
Yeah. No.
We're fucked.
Ekhona right nje ukhuluma ngabo Rothschild mfethu medici family mfethu manje
You watch Black Mirror?
I watched like 2 eps.
The new season?
No, the new season. Nah.
Please watch the new season. And also watch Love, Death and Robots. There's also a new season out.
You've been saying khuluma ngomgabe, yeah?
How do you quantify if these things are just tools? If you're like, we're still producing gold.
Dude.
We're still producing tobacco.
The cows are still there. The land
cows are
is still there.
So
the wheat is there. Everything's there.
That's where you're like, no, there are people that use money to create a system of oppression.
Yeah.
Because they needed something to replace slavery. They couldn't switch slavery off. And people can argue all they want. No, they realize human rights, and that's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's all money driven. The pharmaceuticals industry, the banking industry in the world, the media industry in the world. We can keep going. They needed something to replace slavery. And if I can't tie you in shackles and I can't whip you and force you to work, I need to find something else. And where religion no longer may be served the way it used to get people to humble themselves, to serve, money became, I guess for them, their tool. But it became oppressive for everyone else because we will pay you the least. And even at paying you the least, we will make the cost of living very high.
Yeah.
So that you have a shortfall and you need to go and loan money at interest.
Why?
And while you're loaning money at interest, we want to add inflation. And while you're adding inflation, we'll decide on speculation what's worth anything at any given time. You've got things like the inflation of education. Having grade 9 back in the day was enough to get a good job.
Yeah.
Then they increased it to matric. After matric, it became you must get a diploma at least. After diploma, everyone had diplomas. It was you need a degree.
Baba.
After degree, like we need at least honors, masters. Now you can have a PhD, but it's like, hey, do you have work experience, chief? So they keep pushing out the requirements, which means you have to spend more time at school paying money to learn a hollow education just to get in the door.
You must still be in the system.
Which means they're keeping you out. We today, people like you and I, and Caesar, we are earning incomes that if our parents were to see our incomes back in 1994, we would be wealthy.
Yeah.
We are earning multiples more than our parents earned. Multiples. But we cannot afford what they could afford with what they had.
Yeah. Inflation again.
Your single mother, my mother, alone as a teacher, Ekasi, managed to buy a beautiful 4 or 5 bedroom home with a huge yard in suburbia in Newcastle with the money she was earning then. I'm making multiples more today.
You can't afford it.
I can't afford my mother's house.
No, that house now is worth how much?
Now, when you look at how that system has been designed, which I'm saying is a form of slavery, then you have to look at what people are doing to make a decent income. Forget the greedy people that want to be rich. What they're doing to make a decent income, including things like girls today are slave queens, sleeping with men for money. People are committing crime. People are lying on affidavits and on CVs. People are not sharing information with their friend because they're like, hey, if I tell them,
Yeah.
People are selling out their comrades in politics so that they can get equity or so that they can get a job. People are not sharing with their family members because they're like, if I share this new baba, So money has created this festering space where it has killed a lot of our humanity. Because you can have all the humanity you want. All of it. Let me take money away. And we'll watch what starts happening to your morals. Because without money, in this world we live in today, you can't access land, which means you can't grow food. You can't grow medication. You can't build a home. Your kids can't go to school. The schools that are free are paid for by taxpayers' money. The healthcare, you'll die in a hospital. Private hospital, even in a public, if the taxpayers are not paying,
Done.
you die. Money has become oxygen and blood, which is why people will leave land, they will leave family, they will change their religion, they will change their name, they will prostitute themselves, they'll choose who to sleep with, they'll choose who to have children with to access
Money.
this oxygen and this blood that we call money. Not even for anything, for survival. People will leave land, an abundance of land, to live in a squatter camp with sewage, to walk 5 kilometers to be a security guard or a cleaner, to sit on street corners, sit as a bunch of men that are meant to be a man of a house. This is not apartheid. This is not Bantu education. This is not slavery. On your own, as a fully grown man with 3 children, you sit at Robotini Fate and you're begging men younger than you, at least pound fate. And how much you 50 rand? There's no humanity in that.
Yeah.
And we can call it, but it's a tool. I think it stopped being a tool a long time ago. Unless if you're going to say it's a tool of the elite. Money is evil. And for the people that are on the other side of this thing, it's very easy to say it's a tool. But with money, I get to fly. I get to take my mom to a good hospital. My kids get a good education. I get to have security. Sure. But the system, maybe let me close with this. Donald Trump would start a trade war with China in his last term, before this one. And one of the things he was saying was that we need jobs back in America.
Yeah.
The reason America, Europe were outsourcing jobs to China, Vietnam, India is because they needed to outsource exploitation and oppression. They were now good. We're paying good salaries and what. So someone else needed to do the oppressing so that they could get their iPhones and then sell them at a premium and be like, no, we've got good jobs and we pay well. In this country, we speak about a fair wage and we speak about you cannot have financial freedom without there being financial bondage elsewhere. The hope is just that it's as far away from your view. You don't need to know that cobalt is being mined by children, or that blood diamonds in Sierra Leone are coming from children, or that cocoa for chocolate for Feastables, Mr. Beast, is children that are being exploited, or that there's certain labor that's being done by children in India. As long as you don't know, it's fine. And I asked a question. We speak about British colonialism in South Africa. We speak about the apartheid Afrikaner government and oppression that built all these big companies. These big companies now that people hit their chests, beat their chests for, they pay really good salaries. Banking, financial services, mining, certain manufacturing, retail, head offices and the like. When a black child goes to work in that company and they earn 50,000 a month, 80,000, I asked that child, do you know that that company you work for was built off the back of apartheid and colonialism? And they're like, yes. I'm like, do you realize that the salary you're earning makes you complicit in the oppression? No, it doesn't. I worked hard. I studied hard. I'm like, the white child right next to you is saying the exact same thing. But you're saying, no, but it's his ancestors. You're benefiting just as much as that kid off the oppression of, because the same ancestors built those companies that you're earning a good salary for. And while you're earning 80,000, aunties that cleans there has to catch 3 taxis to get there. Umalume there, that's a security guard. Your clients that are struggling to pay their fees that you guys chase and threaten with legal fees. The people that work for them, the illegal immigrants, where they come from, when you do the real value chain, someone somewhere is being oppressed.
Do you care? Do you not care? What do you do?
I used to enjoy watching Nas Daily. There was this gent Nas Daily who traveled around the world and every day made a video about a different part of the world. And in one of his videos, he speaks about selective empathy. Animal rights. People that believe in animal rights will bash the Chinese for eating a dog and a cat. That's disgusting. What kind of human beings do that? And then after marching and toy-toying, they go and they have a beef burger.
Yeah.
So the dog and the cat, those are my friends, so cute. The cow, who the fuck cares? So selective empathy is what we have, where we feel sorry for the Palestinians, but we may not feel sorry for Mozambicans who are being beaten up in Diepsloot. We feel sorry for people that look like us, and the people that look a bit different, it's whatever. Yeah. You hear that a white farmer was killed? Yeah, good. Vele bayalayeka. Then you hear that a young black girl was killed somewhere, and you're like, no, that person must be found and burnt alive. Because we have selective empathy.
Okay.
That's my argument for why I don't think money is just a tool. So when I answered my friend when they asked, what is your view on money? My answer was very detailed, and I was like, look, I know money is important. And I know money has become God for everyone. People will leave their families, they'll do all those things I said for money, and then claim that, no, it's not. Money now dictates everything that you do, including breaking your moral code, breaking your value system, changing your language, changing your name, keeping certain information from certain people, because if you share it, you violated the company code of confidentiality and all these other things, and we won't be able to make money.
Yep. Your turn.
And you screw other people over, whether you're aware of it or not, and you are complicit, because you can't be making 50,000 in a country where the average wage is under 5,000. And we've got over 40% unemployment. Someone somewhere is getting screwed.
God damn, man. I think I went too far, man. Caesar, this guy went too far, man. I thought we were gonna...
I'm sorry. We were meant to do a catch-up, man. We'll do it another time. We've been
catch
speaking
up
for
next
too long.
time.
2 hours, 15 minutes. Feels you tired?
Good, man. I'm just hungry.
Sorry. We must shut it down because you're hungry.
We can carry on.
You're tired.
No, I'm good. What's the time?
It's 2 hours, 15 minutes. We're filming this at 7:30 at night. People
It's
must know
7:30.
we fucking graft. Okay, Sizwe, closing words, bro. Not about the conversation, just anything you want to say, because this was meant to be actually a catch up. We're actually meant to do these more often. You remember there was a time we spoke
Yeah.
about once a week or just to
nothing.
catch up
Yeah, fetish.
and speak about some of our episodes, because we actually never do a debrief and a post-mortem.
But I'm glad you went the money thing. Most people that didn't know some of the information, I hope they learn a lot. It's good, in fact. So it's about the closing remarks, in fact.
By the way, I'm conflicted between capitalism and Ubuntu myself, and I'm trying to find a balancing act. But the closest I came to was that suggestion that find your people, which you know is one of my biggest pains and struggles.
Yeah.
Exercise Ubuntu with your people.
Yeah.
And then feel nothing for anyone else who's like, Donna, can I book you? Can you?
Aye.
No problem. Here's my fee.
Hey.
And if it's like, Donna, where's your Ubuntu? You're like, unfortunately, in the world we live in,
I don't have Ubuntu
this thing
for
doesn't
you.
work.
For you.
But if that person is willing to become part of my family and share everything they have with me, I can drive their car, I can sleep in their house, they can help my kids. Everything I have is theirs as well.
Yep.
Sizwe Dube.
Hey.
Closing remarks, ne? Yeah, I just think people need to make time for family, make time for themselves, make time to spike your heart rate, exercise. Gunzima right now, we are in some really rough times, financially and otherwise.
Sure.
So people must just, try and prioritize those things. People you love, take care of yourself. Yeah.
Because, man, your body's the only thing you have, man. Eh? Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have even more time and you have the stamina, checking in on your mind. Yeah, those are my remarks.
Thanks, bro. Debs.
No, I'm just glad we said, in fact, and you pointed out some things that people can learn from, I mean, my biggest thing, but it's tiring that, we always commit on these platforms to help people. And I hope there's some sort of change. Because the power we have for now is to speak about these things. I just hope some people are like, look, man, I've implemented whatever you guys have been speaking about. Because we get our information from books, YouTube, and we try to implement some of these things.
But they must pay us as well. Their attention is not enough.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be in money. It can be in kind.
Yeah, I think in kind, man, because I think we do have some sort of an obligation. I believe in being obliged to give back.
To teach.
Yeah, man, you have to.
If you teach the wrong people, they'll use your education to oppress others.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we hope that whatever we're doing now you hope that the 70% feeds off it and teaches other people. But I think somewhere, somehow, every human being is obliged to teach. Because without it, in fact, we're just scavengers, in fact. We're just animals in jail, living in jail. But we need to help out. And I think sometimes, even if there's no monetary value, it's okay.
I've been trying to figure out what I am. And at some
point... What do you
mean?
What you am? What do you mean?
What do you mean what you am?
What you are? What do you mean?
I think if you want to reach the highest levels of life success, you must be known as something. It doesn't matter what your success morphs into. So apparently, LeBron James is a dollar billionaire today. But LeBron James is a basketball player. Full stop. We might find out he has a business portfolio. We might find out that he's built a school. You might find out he can play the piano at a world-class level. Whatever the case may be, he's a great family man. Cristiano Ronaldo is extremely wealthy. He might also be a dollar billionaire. I'm not sure. You've got about Beyonce, Kanye, anyone.
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I think you must be something. And then you must spend the rest of your life trying to be the best you can be in that thing. And if you get it right within a certain time frame, then go and become the best in your country, then your continent, and hopefully in the world. And then thereafter, if you still have appetite, you can try and be the greatest of all time, which is where now we start speaking about LeBron, Messi, Ronaldo. the Williams sisters, Serena Williams in particular, Lewis Hamilton, Tiger Woods. Can you be the GOAT?
Oh,
But you have to be something. Golf player, musician.
be something.
Yeah. And I've been trying to figure out what that something is for me.
Oof.
And it's been a struggle. And at some point I was like, okay, for now I'm a podcaster. Because everyone says, sometimes that something is what people tell you.
Yeah.
But you're a podcaster. I had an epiphany last week where I'm like, this is the family business. I'm just a teacher. Because even with Penuelism as a belief system, I actually just want to teach. How can I become the best teacher in the country, on the continent, in the world? And just teach. If you remember Naval Ravikant's episode with Joe Rogan, which I think to this day is still my favorite podcast episode ever. He says that when he arrived at school, he realized different kids had different gifts. Some were good looking, some were sporty. And he said, I want to be the smartest kid in school. So he went and he read as many books and everything so that I guess he became a human Google. You ask him anything and he knows. So I'm thinking, if I can strive to be the best teacher, which means I accumulate knowledge, information, I process it, and I articulate it to the biggest audiences possible for their learning. And someone's like, who's been your greatest teacher? My mom loves saying this to me, by the way, that I'm her greatest teacher. Who has been your greatest teacher? You're like, of all the people out there, outside of Iskele and what, I used to watch this guy Upen. Hey, I learned so much. Sometimes not just from him, but from the people he was with and the chats. But I learned so much. I've gone on every other podcast I've listened to. You know, we speak about Chris Williamson arguably having the most aesthetically pleasing podcast. Joe Rogan maybe having the most dynamic podcast besides the biggest.
Yeah.
But if you look at educational content, it might be Stephen Bartlett.
Yeah, she's a little.
You watch that thing, Tuan, and you just learning after learning after learning after learning. Uyaskeleza. So it's, how do you become, and that's just his podcast, not him. I don't think Stephen Bartlett is the greatest educator. He's created a platform that's very educational.
Yeah, sure.
How do you become the greatest educator? Because I'm just a teacher, and currently social media is my platform. Tupac was an activist. Hip hop was his weapon.
So when you're right now you're ending at podcast and teacher.
No, just teacher.
Teacher.
I'm not a businessman. I'm not a social media guru. I'm not a religious leader. I'm not a politician. But if there's one thing that maybe over the course of my life has been consistent, it's been, besides my desire to learn, it's what I've learned to teach.
When at least you're somewhere, I don't know. At least when you're somewhere, and I agree with you. Yeah, you do teach a lot. I don't know for me what it is. I don't know. Angas. I don't know. But teach. Yeah, that's what you guys have as a family. I think it's a good start for now.
Once you've figured out that something, then it's pricing it at the best level ever. That's what Mr. Peace got right.
Yep.
And that's, I believe, the journey that Uvusi Tebogo is on. How can I price what it is that I do at the highest level?
How do I price my superpower?
Because it is a superpower.
Yeah.
Or the thing about becoming something is you need to be 1 in a million, 10 million, 100 million.
Yeah.
And how you become the GOAT is I'm 1 in 8 billion. And then I just need to price it right, because and if I'm 1 in and everyone watches football.
Because of me.
Come on, Vito. I mean, shout out to the new lighty man, Lamine Yamal.
Hey, people are liking that light.
Running at 17.
He's that, you know, when you think of like a footballer who's just like naturally gifted at this thing.
Kylian Mbappe.
Look, Mbappe, he's a different kind of animal, you know. Mbappe, I would liken to like more your Cristiano.
Super athlete.
Yeah.
Okay.
Athletic, you know. But Yamal.
Is he Messi?
Yamal is like Messi.
Oh.
Let's say Ronaldinho.
Natural talent.
Natural talent.
Can't buy it.
Baller.
Moors Kwanta, must watch him.
Namasim, Belandanele.
Baller.
Ntwana na 17, itime lakhe lina 34, which means he had him at 17. Itime lakhe is 5 years younger than Cristiano Ronaldo. So I'm playing my rival, the GOAT, Cristiano, because I think Portugal just beat Spain recently. And my hero is younger than my timer. But I'm here fucking shit up. That's too dope. That's too dope.
Hectic.
Anyways, asamenzi yogawula mfethu, shut this thing down, otherwise we'll talk forever. Siyabonga Sizwe Dube.
Hey, my daughter.